Chapter 589. At noon the next day, Lu Lei eagerly entered the game. In the end, he discovered that Gohan wasn't online. Instead, he had sent him a message, saying that the dimensional brocade bag containing all the natural sword ladies was in Toad Street's trash can. In the end, Lu Lei cursed at Gohan in anger, but he still rushed to Toad Street's trash can number 1 and found all the natural sword ladies, including the UN2 and Avicii swords, stored in the dimensional brocade pouch. "Humph, rascal, how dare you hide from me? See if I don't find you." Lu Lei brought these natural sword ladies back and ran to the surveillance room alone. He gave an order to the main control computer in the surveillance room, requesting to review all the surveillance footage around the trash can. Lu Lei's idea was simple. Since Gohan had sent someone to hide the items in the trash can, the person in charge of hiding the items would definitely not be able to escape the surveillance cameras that covered the entire city, especially in an ordinary district where the surveillance system had not been destroyed. Even if this person had emerged from underground, he would not be able to escape his surveillance. Unfortunately, Lu Lei was destined to be disappointed. When Lu Lei ordered the computer to review the surveillance footage, the computer actually refused. "Honorable Chairman of the Sword Committee, Mr. Lu Lei, all the surveillance footage in this area has been deleted." "What?" Lu Lei's hair and eyebrows stood up. "Who has the guts to actually delete the surveillance footage in Yuzhong City? No, who else but me has the authority to delete these surveillance footage? It's the Sword Pavilion Master, Lord Gohan," the computer said calmly. "If you have any complaints about the procedure, you can go to the Sword Committee and file a complaint with me." The computer's words made Lu Lei's face stiffen. That's right, Gohan was already the Sword Pavilion Master. In theory, he was already on equal footing with him. If he wanted to delete the footage, there was really nothing he could say. Damn it, wasn't he digging a hole for himself to jump into? Ignoring how vexed Lu Lei was, Gu Xianyuan was lying quietly in the Yu siblings' room with Juzi sitting obediently beside her. "Is it done? Did you see him take it?" After a day of recuperation, Gu Xuanyuan's voice had more or less recovered. There would no longer be any intermittent hoarseness. This proved that Gu Xuanyuan's body was constantly improving. The Xianyuan sword did not deceive Gohan. "Yes, I saw the white-bearded old man take it away. It's exactly the same as the photo you gave me, Master," Juzi replied respectfully. Unlike the other sword maidens like the Heavenly Reliance, Duyu, and Qinpin, Juzi seemed to be absolutely obedient towards Gohan. Whenever Gohan gave an order, Juzi would carry it out without any hesitation. It was almost as obedient as the man-made sword maidens. "Sister Juzi, Sister Juzi." Suddenly, Lu Yin's voice rang out from inside the room. He carried a broken computer and ran in. As he ran, he shouted, "Sister Juzi, can you help me take a look? Can this computer still be fixed?" It turned out that Lu Yin had found a broken computer somewhere and excitedly brought it back. This kid had always wanted to have a computer of his own, so when he saw this computer that was not badly damaged and seemed to be able to be repaired, he was very excited. Hearing Lu Yin's call, Juzi did not respond. Her eyes did not move as she knelt beside Gohan, not even looking at Lu Yin. Lu Yin and Gu Xianyuan and Juzi had been together for a day, and he had a rough understanding of each other's character. So Lu Yin lay beside Gu Xianyuan, pulled her hand and desperately acted like a spoiled child. "Sister Xianyuan, big beautiful sister, please do me a favor and let Sister Juzi help me repair my computer." How could Gohan stand a man acting like a spoiled child to him? If there was nothing wrong with his body, he would definitely kick Lu Yin out. Unfortunately, Gohan's body could not move at all, so he could only think of sending this unlucky kid away as soon as possible. "Go, Juzi, go help Lu Yin." Gohan thought for a moment, then added, "You must teach him not to bother me next time." "Hee, thank you, sister. You're the best." Lu Yin kissed Gu Xuanyuan's face, then pulled Juzi's hand and ran to repair the computer. Gohan did not know what kind of expression to use, so he could only roll his eyes, put on his helmet, and re-entered the game. There were only a few days left before the start of the Sword Among the 8 Cities tournament. Before that, Gohan needed to improve his sword essence as much as possible. Gohan had nothing else to do after entering the game, so he obtained an SSS rating for a brand new sword-level instance dungeon. Then, he spent some time with King Yu before returning to reality. The moment Gohan opened his eyes, he heard a loud noise. The source of the noise was naturally Lu Yin, the brat. His computer had probably been successfully repaired with Juzi's help. Gohan could hear the sound of killing coming from the poor sound system. It seemed like Lu Yin, the brat, was happily playing the game. Lu Yin, you're crazy. Just as Gohan left the game, his sister, Lu Shihua, hurriedly ran in from the door. She grabbed Lu Yin's ear and scolded him in exasperation. You little brat, you're always doing nothing. Do you know how much electricity this computer consumes? If you continue playing like this, our house will have a blackout tomorrow night. We only have a little money to eat now. Without electricity, how are we going to live? Sorry, sister, I was just too happy. Sister, don't be angry, I won't play with the computer anymore. Lu Yin lowered his head and quickly turned off the computer, looking like he knew he was in the wrong. Wait, the electricity could only last until tomorrow night. Gohan suddenly thought of something. He looked at the gaming helmet beside his head and smiled bitterly. It seemed like the electricity could not last until tomorrow night. As expected, 10 minutes later, the dim light instantly dimmed. The entire room fell into darkness, and one could not even see their fingers in front of them. Wow! Lu Yin, you brat, just how much electricity did you use today? You actually black out now. After a moment of silence in the darkness, Lu Shihua's angry voice could be heard, followed by the sound of Lu Yin's butt. From how loud the sound was, it seemed like Lu Yin's but would not be able to touch the ground for a few days. After a period of noise, the room was silent apart from Lu Yin's sobs. However, very quickly Lu Shihua also started sobbing. Then, the two siblings suddenly hugged each other and cried bitterly. Good brother! I'm useless, I haven't earned a single cent these past few days. Otherwise, I wouldn't have hit you like this. It's all because I'm useless, it's all my fault. Lu Shihua choked. Sister, it's not your fault, I'm too lazy. From tomorrow onwards, I'll go with you to earn money. No matter how hard it is, I'll go, sob sob sob. Lu Yin quickly comforted his sister. Hearing the conversation between the siblings, even Gohan couldn't bear to see them like this. Forget it. They saved him and he had used up a day's worth of electricity. Even if it wasn't for them, he had to help them out of their predicament for the sake of his smooth gaming at the beginning of the Sword Among 8 Cities tournament. However, Gohan did not have a personal terminal. Even if his personal account exceeded 100 million, he could not transfer a single cent to them. Moreover, the entire account was probably under Lu Lei's surveillance. If he transferred the money, Lu Lei would definitely trace it back to him. Therefore, he could only think of a way to help them earn money. However, how could he help them? Looking at the pile of accessories around him and the gaming helmet that had just been repaired, Gohan had an idea. Excuse me, can I interrupt you for a moment? The siblings who were hugging each other suddenly heard Gu Xuanyuan's angelic voice. Only then did Lu Shihua remember that he was not living with his brother anymore. There were 2 more people in the house. Excuse me, Miss Gu. Lu Shihua quickly wiped away his tears. What does Miss Gu want to say? Feel free to say it. All right, I want to ask you, if you sell this computer, what's the cheapest price you can get? Gu Xianyuan asked such a question. What? You want me to sell the computer? Lu Yin immediately hugged the precious computer that he had just repaired. No, I won't sell it even if I die. Contrary to Lu Yin, Lu Shihua's eyes lit up. Selling this computer, this was a good idea. I remember that there are a lot of people here who want a computer, but the price is too high. The people here can't afford it. But this computer was picked up by Lu Yin. Even if we sell it for 10 yuan, we will still make a profit. No, we can sell it for at least 200 yuan, and there will be a lot of people who will fight to buy it. Lu Shihua's eyes became brighter as he spoke. In the end, it was almost as bright as a flashlight. Lu Yin, tomorrow, follow your sister and sell this computer. Sell it to Aunt Sue's family next door. Her grandson has been asking for a computer for a year. If 200 yuan can buy a computer, then she will definitely pay for it. Not selling. Not selling. Even if I die, I won't sell it. Lu Yin hugged his computer and refused to sell it no matter what. This made Lu Shihua anxious. The siblings were about to quarrel. Why must you sell this computer? Gohan really couldn't stand it anymore. He could only enlighten the two idiots. Since Lu Yin has the ability to repair computers, why don't you find some abandoned appliances, let Lu Yin repair them, and sell them all? My good brother, I love you so much. I will depend on you from now on. Chapter 590. In the eyes of the people on Toad Street, the Lu siblings, who had always been the most miserable people on Toad Street, suddenly had their lives turn for the better. Nobody knew where that brat called Lu Yin learned how to repair electrical appliances. He took out some trash from the junkyard, and after some simple repairs, it became a top-notch electrical appliance. The neighbors on Toad Street were all poor people. Usually, they didn't have the money to buy expensive electrical appliances. When the Lu family brought out electrical appliances that were originally worth tens of thousands of yuan, but were now only worth 100 or 200 yuan, the whole of Toad Street instantly became lively. Every family fought to buy such an appliance from the Lu family. In the end, they even had to reserve it for a month. The Lu family's living conditions took a complete turn for the better. At the very least, the lights in their house were not only on for an hour at night, but all night long. However, the strange thing was that after this, the neighbors couldn't enter the Lu family's front door anymore. This was because the Lu family didn't let anyone in at all. They said that they were afraid that someone would steal Lu Yin's skills. Regarding this, some smart people who were bored at home were very disdainful. They felt that the Lu family was petty. So what if they just took a look? Could they learn it just by taking a look? Gu Xianyuan, who lived with the Lu family, could be considered to have witnessed the changes in the Lu family from beginning to end. For Gu Xianyuan, the most direct change was the change in her diet. From the nutrient solution at the beginning, it had now become nutrient-soaked rice. This was a welcome improvement. It meant that the Lu family had entered the class where they could afford to eat rice. Unfortunately, the Lu family still wasn't rich enough. Although Lu Yin's business was a business without capital, the waste electrical appliances in the junkyard were not inexhaustible. Moreover, most of these waste electrical appliances were extremely damaged. It wasn't easy for Lu Yin to repair them. At most, he could repair about 3 appliances a day. Therefore, Lu Shihua still worked hard every day, even though she kept complaining that she couldn't earn much money. Of course, this had nothing to do with Gohan. He had been immersed in the game for the past few days. Because Qing Pin, Douyu, and Etian weren't by his side, he couldn't free them in the game. Therefore, Gohan naturally stayed with King Yu every day. When the Sword Maidens in the game merged with the Sword Maidens in real life, the Sword Maidens in the game would be equivalent to a game character. Therefore, when the Sword Maiden's consciousness did not log in with the sword wielder, they could only maintain their sword form and could not transform into Sword Maidens. This way, the only sword lady that Gohan could transform into was King Yu. Originally, he could have the Juzi sword as well. Gohan had already collected the token of Juzi sword. He only needed to exchange for it in the game. However, Gohan didn't want Juzi sword to interfere too much with his world, because Juzi sword was destined to be abandoned by him. The more he experienced, the more cruel it would be to Juzi sword. In the past few days, apart from accompanying King Yu, Gohan spent the rest of his time grinding dungeons. Gohan had already cleared all the sword grade dungeons. Of course, his level was SSS grade. Of course, Gohan cleared these dungeons for the rewards. After all, the basic rewards for the first SSS grade dungeon were increased by 100 times. Among these rewards, sword element pills were given to Gohan, causing Gohan's sword element in the game to skyrocket. In the end, it broke through 15,000 quarks, which happened to be equal to the number of sword element in the real world. The two returned to balance. It was worth mentioning that 2 of the dungeons had broken records, causing military governor's name to rise twice in the game world. The entire forum was filled with posts discussing military governor. However, the topic of these posts hadn't changed over the past few days: the connection between military governor and the disappearance of the Wuhan Search Instance dungeon. This was because after Gohan refreshed the Wuhan Search Instance dungeon's achievements, the Wuhan Search Instance dungeon was deleted. Even an idiot would know that there was a connection. However, what did military governor do to make the Wuhan Search Instance dungeon disappear? This was the main point that the players were talking about. The discussion on the forum had exceeded 100 million replies, and the topic post had exceeded 100,000. There were hundreds of new guesses every day. Needless to say, there were actually a few people who guessed a bit of the truth. By the way, do you still remember the nouveau riche player who tipped Gohan to 6 million? At that time, Gohan had agreed to chat with him at noon the next day. As it turned out, this nouveau riche was the owner of one of the military governor's high-level fan groups. This group was made up of nouveau riche players who had to pay a membership fee of more than 100,000 to join the group. There were only 26 people in the entire group. When the nouveau riche saw the number 26, he thought that military governor had already found out about the existence of this group. In a moment of excitement, he transferred all 6 million to Gohan. Then, the owner of the group warmly invited Gohan to join this super fan group. After military governor stated that he would only lurk and not speak, the owner had no choice but to join the group. By the way, the name of this group was Xianyuan Sword. This group name wasn't chosen by Gohan, but by the owner of the group when the group was created. In the words of the owner, sooner or later, our military governor would have to coordinate the sword bearers of the Xianyuan sword. One had to admit that this owner had the potential to be a charlatan. Right now, wasn't the Xianyuan sword in Gohan's hands? F*ck. Now Gohan's name was Gu Xianyuan. As the days went by, Gohan gradually regained control of a small part of his body below his neck. He was already able to lift his head slightly. He didn't need to lie down all day and could also lean on a soft pillow to pass the day. On the 5th day after Gohan came to the Lu family, a somewhat exciting moment finally arrived. Gohan had been looking forward to it for a long time. The only thing that attracted Gohan a little was the 8 cities sword tournament that was held once every 10 years had finally begun. The sword element oral solution as a reward for the 8 cities sword tournament was a fatal temptation for Gohan. If it was done well, it could even allow Gohan to reach the level of sword element required for a sword bearer of the spiritual sword level, which was 100,000 quarks of sword element. Of course, this was only a theoretical possibility. As for the actual situation, it would have to be seen when the time came. The 8 cities sword tournament was divided into 4 stages. The first stage was the audition stage. No matter how many people signed up for the same group, everyone in the same group would be evenly distributed to the same 64 map. Each map would spawn 1 million Yuan Ko. Finally, according to the number of Yuan Ko killed, the top 16 of each map would enter the second stage, which was the semi-finals. There was no need to go to a special place to enter the competition. As long as you waited in the game, the system would automatically send you an invitation. As long as you accepted the invitation, you could enter the competition map. The effective time of this invitation was 10 minutes. If you didn't accept the invitation within 10 minutes, then you would lose the qualification for the preliminaries and naturally have no chance to participate in the later battles. Guhan immediately accepted the invitation and entered the competition map. Because Guhan joined the Treasured Sword group, this group prohibited the use of famed sword-level sword lady, so Guhan didn't bring Yuang into the map. Instead, he let her stay at home to rest. He only brought Qing Pin and Tian into the dungeon. According to the tradition of the 8 Cities Sword Tournament, the map for the preliminaries was the same but also different. The reason why it was the same was because there were 64 different regions and the map for each region was the same. This way, it would be the most fair. The reason why it was different was because every time the preliminaries were different, the maps for different groups were also different. This time, the map for the Treasured Sword group that Guhan participated in was actually a vast ocean. In other words, the Treasured Sword group would have to fight with the Yuan Ko in the ocean. This was a new battle scene for Guhan. Before this, Guhan had never experienced a battle on the sea. Even the Ship Girl dungeon was held on the shore. He had never fought on the sea before. Of course, although it was a battle on the sea, Guhan didn't swim in the water. Instead, he stood on a small bamboo raft. Looking into the distance, Guhan could see other bamboo rafts. As time passed, the number of bamboo rafts also increased. This meant that there were more and more sword bearers being assigned to this region. System announcement. Player Military Governor is welcome to the Treasured Sword Group preliminaries of the 8 Cities Sword Tournament. The competition will officially begin in 10 minutes. During this time, you can familiarize yourself with the surroundings. However, you will not be fighting with any Yuan Ko or sword bearers. System notification. All known information on this map can be obtained through the controller on your bamboo raft. Please protect your transportation tool properly. Once you lose your transportation tool, you will be automatically removed from the map, and the preliminary round will end. However, your kill score will not be affected. After listening to the system announcement, Guhan found the controller of the bamboo raft. There was a tablet on a tray on the bamboo raft. The information was displayed on the tablet. Yellow Sea Preliminary Competition Area 64 Vehicle Number 000585 Vehicle Level Level 1 Bamboo Raft Required to Upgrade 0/5 Current Number of Participants 512400 Number of Yuan Ko in the area 1000000 Your kill count 0 Your kill rank 0 Countdown to the start of the competition 9:24 On the left side of the notification there was a small map. Guhan tried to tap on the map, and the bamboo raft automatically began to move towards the location Guhan had pointed at. It seemed that these bamboo rafts were controlled by a computer. It saved Guhan the trouble of controlling the raft. However, after thinking about it carefully, it made sense. If he had to control the raft while fighting, then the competition wouldn't be fair. What about those sword bearers who didn't know how to control the raft but were good at fighting? Guhan carefully stared at the controller and found that the number of participants was constantly changing. This meant that there were still people entering the map. Guhan observed the other participants around him and found that most of them were sitting excitedly and observing their surroundings. Their boats didn't show any signs of moving at all. Seeing this, Guhan sneered. The 10 minutes I gave you weren't for you to enjoy the scenery. These 10 minutes would definitely play a crucial role. After saying that, Guhan began to control his bamboo raft and moved towards the place with the most bamboo rafts. Chapter 591. When the countdown reached 0, the number of players in the 64th preliminary round was finally fixed at 728,600. In total, there were nearly 730,000 players fighting for the 1 million Yuan Ko lives in this map. Any player with a little bit of mathematical knowledge would know that on average there were only 1.25 Yuan Ko lives per person. It could be said that there were too many monks and not enough gruel. Every single Yuan Ko had to do their best to fight for the lives of others. Logically speaking, Gohan should be driving the bamboo raft towards an area with as few people as possible. However, Gohan did the exact opposite. He just had to drive his bamboo raft towards the most crowded area. Just what was Gohan thinking? Gohan's idea was very simple. It was the words Transportation Tool Level, Level 1, Bamboo Raft, Upgrade Requirement, 0/5. This indicated an interesting fact, and that was that this bamboo raft could actually be upgraded. So how could this bamboo raft be upgraded? If Gohan's guess was correct, then the materials needed for this upgrade were other bamboo raft. System notification. The first round of the preliminary round has officially begun. Players, a soul-tier marine creature, Yuan Ko, will spawn next to you. Please kill the Yuan Ko next to you within 10 minutes. If you are unable to kill it or are defeated by Yuan Ko, you will leave the preliminary round. Have fun. System notification. Please note, the movement function of your bamboo raft has been locked. Before you kill Yuan Ko, you will not be able to move. As soon as the system notification ended, a ferocious shark emerged from the water beside Gohan's bamboo raft. These sharks were a little strange. This was because there was a large king character on its forehead, as well as yellow and black stripes. It looked like a ferocious tiger. A fish. What a big fish! It's a tiger-striped shark. The players around Gohan cried out in surprise. They immediately recognized the origin of this demonic beast. Yuan Ko name, Tiger-striped shark grade, Soul Tier 2 dimensional world, Eastern Demon Realm Entry Instance Dungeon, All Marine Environment Instance Dungeons HP, 2 stars attack, 2 5 stars agility, 3 stars demonic power, 2 stars ability. They can shoot corrosive water arrows from their mouth. At the same time, they can let out terrifying roars. Similarly, their teeth are extremely sharp. Ultimate moves: corrosive water arrow, tiger roar, shark bite. Introduction. One of the most commonly seen Yuan Ko in the seas of the Eastern Demon Realm. It is said that their ancestors were a pair of great demon-level tiger demon, Kong, and shark demon, White. The union of the two great demons resulted in the special group of tiger-striped sharks. Tiger-striped sharks swam in the ocean in groups, usually numbering more than 100. Encountering a tiger-striped shark meant that there were at least 100 tiger-striped sharks around you at the same time. Players had to pray for luck. It is said that if you kill more than 10,000 tiger-striped sharks, you will be able to see the legendary Yuan Ko, Kong, and White. The first thing the tiger-striped shark did after it revealed its head was to shoot a green water arrow from its mouth in an attempt to give Gohan a good start. Gohan nimbly dodged the water arrow. Then, he raised his sword and slashed down. A total of 5 swords of mysterious heaven, sword of the abyss, slashed forward. In an instant, the tiger-striped shark was minced into a fish soup and returned to the dimensional vortex. Kill count. 1 year's ranking. 1. In the blink of an eye, Gohan had completed the kill, and his ranking instantly rose to first place in the entire map. At that moment, Gohan looked at his surroundings and realized that not everyone was as at ease as he was. Although Gohan saw a few strong players whose sword ladies were also suppressing the tiger-striped shark, the tiger-striped shark was in the ocean. Once they retreated into the water to hide, the sword ladies would be helpless. Of course, there were some water attribute sword ladies that could dive into the ocean, but they were in the minority. At the very least, Gohan didn't see any such sword ladies. Once the tiger-striped shark was injured, it would become extremely cunning. It would linger in the ocean for a long time before seizing the opportunity to leap up and attack again. Unless someone could be like Gohan and use their ultimate move the moment the tiger-striped shark revealed its head and instantly kill it, this battle would be difficult. Could it be that everyone could only kill one Yuan Ko? When would the top 16 be decided? Seeing the players around him struggling to kill their opponents, Gohan couldn't help but doubt the system's intentions. Could it be that players like him who claimed to kill Yuan Ko in advance could only wait for the others to finish killing the tiger-striped shark and then wait for the next wave of Yuan Ko to appear? This was simply a retarded setting. Gohan rolled his eyes and tapped on the controller. His bamboo raft began to move towards a player beside Gohan. It was a flustered player. His sword mistress was an ordinary sword mistress. She was standing on the bamboo raft, looking around cautiously, waiting for the tiger-striped shark to attack at any time. Her sword mistress, on the other hand, looked dispirited. The left side of his body had turned green, and his shield was constantly emitting white smoke. It was obvious that he had not dodged the corrosive water arrow shot by the tiger-striped shark, which was why he was in such a state. This guy can't make it. As the raft moved forward, Gohan took a look at the tiger-striped shark's battle. Not only was the tiger-striped shark disorganized, but the Sword Maiden's attack power was also very weak. He estimated that it would take at least 30 attacks to kill the tiger-striped shark. However, the tiger-striped shark only needed 3 more corrosive water bolts to kill this unlucky bastard. I'll send him off. As Gohan thought about it, the tiger-striped shark jumped out of the sea and attacked the Sword Lady again. Just as his Sword Lady was about to counterattack, she saw a few sword chi flash past her like otherworldly immortals. The ferocious tiger-striped shark instantly returned to the dimensional vortex. Kill count 2, kill rank 1. Gohan glanced at his notification. As expected, killing someone else's tiger-striped shark would also count to his kill count. A human's brain was indeed more flexible. In contrast to Gohan, the Sword Lady was at a loss. What's going on? Where's my Yuan Ko? The sword wielder didn't even know what was going on. System notification. Your Yuan Ko has been killed by the Sword Lady, Military Governor. Your preliminary round has ended. Your kill count is 0 and your rank is 0. You will leave the preliminary map in 5 seconds. Please wait patiently for the preliminary result. They are expected to be sent to your mailbox in 2 hours. It wasn't until he heard the system notification that the sword wielder realized that his Yuan Shun had been intercepted by someone else. You bastard, get out here! You can't play around like this. The sword wielder's face was filled with misery, and Gohan felt a little bad when he saw this. Unfortunately, the Sword Lady could only stay for another 5 seconds. He couldn't even finish cursing. It was really too pitiful. When the Sword Lady returned to the game map, she looked at the system notification angrily a few times. In her mind, she could have become the top 16 in District 64, killed everyone, and obtained the first place in the sword level. In the end, she was killed by a bastard called Military Governor. Wait, this Sword Lady was called Military Governor? The Sword Lady patted her head, then looked at the notification several times again. In an instant, she smiled like a flower. She took a screenshot of the system notification and posted it on the forum. She added a big title, "The first person to die in the hands of the Military Governor. Who's more awesome than me? I'm the first." The title described in detail how she fought the tiger-striped shark, and how the Military Governor's transcendent flying immortal helped her escape from the abyss of suffering. Then, she spent a few thousand words to express her admiration for the Military Governor. This post instantly became popular on the forum. It was said that this post even received tens of thousands of RMB in tips, which made the Sword Lady earn a lot. In terms of value, the Sword Lady earned more than the Sword Lady in the top 16. As a result, after that, every player who had fought with the Military Governor felt honored to receive a system notification that they were defeated by the Military Governor. There was even a rare defeated party in the forum. Players who hadn't been defeated by the Military Governor didn't even have the right to join this party. Of course, this was a story for later. Our attention returned to Gohan's side. When the unlucky Sword Lady disappeared from the map, the bamboo raft under her feet didn't disappear. Instead, it quickly approached Gohan's bamboo raft. In the end, the two bamboo rafts merged together and became a bamboo raft that was twice the size of the previous one. However, one of the bamboo raft's controllers was gone. It was still the same controller that Gohan originally had. The bamboo raft was only twice the size, but its speed didn't increase much. At this time, the benefits of Gohan choosing a crowded area showed itself. Because there were so many bamboo rafts here, Gohan had a lot of choices. In principle, Gohan wouldn't touch the sword lady who had the ability to kill the tiger-striped shark. After all, they were participating in a game. He couldn't let them leave so quickly. Therefore, Gohan only picked the weaklings who looked like they couldn't kill the tiger-striped shark. Soon, Gohan chose his next target. It was a sword lady who was also in a sorry state. 20 seconds later, Gohan's sword energy killed the tiger-striped shark. Amidst the sword lady's curses, Gohan successfully increased his kill count to 3. System notification: 16 players have killed their opponent. The leaderboard is officially open. Everyone can check your current ranking through the controller. After Gohan killed 3 tiger-striped sharks, only 16 players had killed their first tiger-striped shark. This speed was amazing. Gohan glanced at the leaderboard. As expected, he was ranked first with a kill count of 3. Starting from second place, everyone's kill count was 1. Chapter 592. Another tiger-striped shark died under Gohan's sword. This was Gohan's 5th kill. At the same time, the top 5 players on the leaderboard had all increased their kill scores to 2. However, at this time, Gohan did not continue to snatch the head. Instead, he quietly watched as the 5th bamboo raft gradually approached him. When the 5 bamboo rafts fused together, the bamboo raft under Gohan's feet instantly turned into a small wooden boat. It was the simplest boat that could often be seen in a small river. In terms of area, it was even smaller than the bamboo raft. Transportation level: Level 2, wooden boat, upgrade requirement, 0/25. Although the area was a little smaller, Gohan realized the value of the upgrade when he actually controlled the wooden boat. It turned out that the speed of the wooden boat was more than twice as fast as the bamboo raft. This allowed Gohan to move faster towards the sword bearers, who were on the verge of falling under the teeth of the tiger-striped shark. 3 minutes after the battle began, Gohan's kill score had reached 11. However, after reaching 11, Gohan discovered that he could no longer increase his kill count. There were many players and tiger-striped sharks around him. However, according to Gohan's assessment, these players were all capable of killing the tiger-striped shark. If Gohan snatched the kill from their hands, they would be eliminated. Although Gohan could be ruthless at times, this situation was beyond Gohan's control. So, Gohan simply gave up on killing the tiger-striped shark. Instead, he stopped his wooden boat and stopped moving. This made the other sword bearers around him breathe a sigh of relief. They had been staring at Gohan as they fought, afraid that Gohan would snatch their kill. If Gohan tried to approach them, they would. They couldn't do anything else. Before killing their tiger-striped shark, they couldn't manually control the boat. At that moment, Gohan did not move, but it did not mean that the other players would not move. After a player near Gohan finally killed his tiger-striped shark, he began to look at the tiger-striped sharks of other players. He had seen Gohan's actions just now. He felt that it was a good idea and that he should learn from it with a humble attitude. So, the player set his sights on another player not far away. Unlike Gohan, who only targeted the tiger-striped sharks that were impossible to kill, this player specifically targeted the tiger-striped sharks that were about to be killed. The reason was simple. It was faster to kill the tiger-striped shark. In the end, the player who was about to kill the tiger-striped shark suddenly noticed a sword mistress appear beside him. Then, the sword mistress unleashed a powerful skill and killed his tiger-striped shark. System notification: Your player, Yuan Ko, has been killed by sword bearer, immovable Yu. Your preliminary round has ended. Your kill count is 0 and your rank is 0. You will leave the preliminary map in 5 seconds. Please wait patiently for the preliminary result. They will be sent to your mailbox in 2 hours. F***CKU Old Wood. Even though the player wanted to curse immovable U's ancestors, he only had 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, the player left the map with endless unwillingness. As expected, this is the right way. Immovable U exclaimed excitedly. It was as if he had seen a shortcut to the top of the leaderboards. By the end of the first round, 9 tiger-striped sharks had fallen victim to Immovable U. Immovable U's kill count quickly soared to 10, only one less than Guhan's. It was worth mentioning that Military Governor's name had fallen from the first place on the leaderboard. Now, the number of kills in the first place had reached 24, and the number of kills in the 16th place had reached 22. It seemed that these players were like Immovable U. Their tiger-striped sharks had risen so quickly by killing the ordinary players who had worked so hard until their last drop of health. Some people might think that it was unfair and that they were picking up scraps. But who could they blame? It was all because they were not fast enough to kill their enemies. If they couldn't even protect their tiger-striped sharks, the top 16 in this region had nothing to do with them. All in all, Gohan's 11 kill count was only around the 200s in the region. It seemed like he was still far from the standard. Of course, Gohan was very calm because he knew that the first round was just an appetizer. The real points would come later. It was not worth it for him to go against his principles for such a small amount of point. But what Gohan didn't know was that there was already a top post on the forum. This post only did one thing, and that was to broadcast Military Governor's battle report throughout the entire process. Those fans of Military Governor, who also belonged to the 64th region, all took screenshots of the 64th region's leaderboard before they left the region. As a result, the changes in Military Governor's ranking were displayed in the eyes of all the players who were browsing the forum. In the beginning, it was just as everyone had expected. The Admiral was the only one left in the dust. Within a minute, he had obtained 3 points, and within 3 minutes, he had achieved 11 kills. At this time, the person in second place on the leaderboard only had 3 kills. So everyone praised Military Governor for being awesome. Awesome. The first place of the Treasured Sword group was definitely him. But after 3 minutes, something that no one could understand happened. Military Governor's points were stuck at 11, and the players behind him continued to increase. Finally, in the 7th minute, the player in second place surpassed the Admiral, reaching a few points. After that, the Admiral's ranking dropped by 3,000 feet, and in the end, he actually fell to a position in the 200th place. F***CK. I'm not a fan anymore. He's just a piece of trash. Many players saw the change and said bitterly. Fortunately, a player from the first scene quickly replied with an explanation. This was what he wrote. Everyone, stop arguing. Let me explain to everyone why Military Governor was stuck at 11 points. I was at the first scene, and Military Governor was right beside me. I saw him kill 11 tiger-striped sharks in 3 minutes, so he must be Military Governor. Seeing Military Governor kill 11 people, I was so excited. I couldn't wait for Military Governor to come to my side. I'd rather give my tiger-striped shark to him. But after Military Governor killed 11, he stopped moving and stayed in place. He didn't kill another tiger-striped shark until the end of the 10-minute. At first, I couldn't understand why. Military Governor clearly had a lot of tiger-striped sharks around him. With Military Governor's swordsmanship, even 124 tiger-striped sharks could be killed by him, let alone 24. This is too exaggerated. Gohan didn't even have 124 tiger-striped sharks around him. Then, when a player called Immovable shamelessly killed a tiger-striped shark that had only a sliver of HP left in it, I finally understood. It turned out that Military Governor didn't want to steal those tiger-striped sharks from us. Because of all the remaining tiger-striped sharks, there wasn't a single one that the players couldn't defeat. They were all stolen by other shameless players. This meant that military governor had already seen through us. He didn't want to steal from us players who could kill tiger-striped sharks with our own strength. Oh my God! My military governor is so great. I love my military governor more and more. Military governor, your sword scar is so handsome. Just looking at your sword scar makes me wet. If you see this message, please add me on QQ, XXXXX564. I'll be waiting for you in Yuzhong City. Although the explanation was cut short in the end, the truth of the matter was greatly discounted. However, several other players who were assigned to the vicinity of Gu Han quickly posted their own screenshots to prove the statement in the reply. In an instant, military governor's popularity rose in the forum. Everyone praised military governor for being a good person, a perfect person. It was the future of mankind and the hope of the world. Even a few players who had their tiger-striped sharks snatched by Gu Han came out to reply. They expressed that they definitely couldn't beat that tiger-striped shark, that the admiral had done the right thing in killing it, and that they were willing to give their tiger-striped sharks to the admiral. After the first round ended, the map returned to normal. Looking at the prompt, the number of players in the region had dropped from 730,000 to 250,000. A total of 480,000 players had failed and left the battlefield. According to the system, there was a 10-minute break for the second round of battle. Taking advantage of this time, the players around Gohan drove their bamboo rafts or wooden boats away from military governor. They were afraid that Gohan would steal their prey again in the second round. Of course, there were also players who did the opposite. 4 to 5 players took the initiative to drive their boats to Gohan's side and shouted excitedly, "Military Governor! Military Governor! I'm your fan. Can I take a screenshot with you? We'll give you our yuan ko later." These were probably Gohan's fans and fangirls. Gohan felt a headache when he saw them. He could only wave his hand and ask them to quiet down. Then, he said softly, "Be quiet. Let's listen to the sound of the wave." Therefore, the players instantly quieted down and accompanied the military governor to listen to the sound of the wave. It was said that one of the players recorded Gohan's words and made it into a call notification. He then posted it on the internet for everyone to download. The number of downloads exceeded 1 million in a week. System notification: the second round of the qualifier has officially begun. Players, the sea around you will be randomly spawned with 7 colors of red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple. Based on the order of the 7 colors, the kill value of yuan ko in each sea region will be different. Each sea region will have 100 yuan ko. Players who have killed at least 1 yuan ko in a level 1 sea region will be allowed to enter the next colored yuan ko sea region. System notification: please choose the sea region you want to kill yuan ko according to your ability. The quest duration is 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, players who have killed less than 5 will leave the battlefield. Good luck. Chapter 593. As the system notification disappeared, Gu Han discovered that the wooden boat could move again. At the same time, the color of the seawater changed drastically. At this time, the seawater around Gu Han had become milky white like milk, and the color of the seawater in an area the size of a football field not far away was crimson. That was the level 1 sea region. Under Gohan's control, the small wooden boat under his feet began to move rapidly toward the Crimson Sea region. However, this time Gohan was not the first to arrive. The first to arrive was a wooden boat that was originally in this sea region. At that moment, the owner of the wooden boat was engaged in an intense battle with a tiger-striped shark. It seemed that the yuan ko of the Crimson Sea region was still a tiger-striped shark. That meant that all the sword-bearers who stayed here could actually survive in the level 1 sea region. That meant that the level 1 sea region must be overcrowded. Gohan was the 10th sword-bearer to enter this sea region. As soon as he entered, a tiger-striped shark impatiently charged at him, seeking death. In the end, just like the previous tiger-striped sharks, it was killed by Gohan with one slash. System notification: your kill count has increased by 1 point. After Gohan killed a tiger-striped shark, another tiger-striped shark immediately jumped out and attacked Gohan. Based on Gohan's current killing speed, if Gohan went all out to kill tiger-striped sharks in the Crimson Sea region, the other sword-bearers would basically have no chance of survival. More than 70% of the tiger-striped sharks would become Gohan's prey. In an instant, he could increase his kill count to around 80. Seeing the wooden boat sailing over from afar, Gohan thought about it and gave up on the idea of snatching the tiger-striped sharks from the ordinary sword-bearers. After killing the tiger-striped shark with one slash, Gohan controlled his boat and left the Crimson Sea region. He had already seen a sea region that was suffused with orange seawater. Naturally, that was where the second-level sea region was located. However, that sea region was quite far from Gohan's position. With the wooden boat's speed, it would probably take him 2 to 3 minutes to get there. In these 2 to 3 minutes, Gohan was confident that he could obtain at least 30 kills in the Crimson Sea region. However, a good horse would not turn back. Since he had already decided to leave the Red Sea, there was no reason for Gohan to turn back. Wasting 2 or 3 minutes was not a big deal. When the number 1 on the leaderboard had reached 27 kills, Gohan finally arrived at the Orange Sea region. At this time, there were already a few other people who had arrived one step ahead of him. They probably disdained to fight for food in the Red Sea region. After killing a tiger-striped shark, they ran to the Orange Sea region. However, the distance between them was very close, so it wouldn't take long to cross the two seas. The Yuan Ko in the Orange Sea was a toad demon. It sounded like Yuan Ko had some connection with Song Hama. Yuan Ko name: Toad Demon. Grade: Soul Level. World of Two-Dimensional, Eastern Demon Realm. Instance Dungeon. All sea environment instance dungeons. HP 2 stars. Attack 3 stars. Agility 3 stars. Demonic Power 3 stars. Ability: every part of the toad demon's skin is stained with poison. Once it comes into contact with the Sword Lady, other than the Sword Lady will be poisoned. At the same time, the Toad Demon also has the ability to combo and self-destruct. Ultimate skill: Poison Protection, Double Combo, Poison Burst, Summon Soldiers. Introduction: one of the most commonly seen Yuan Ko in the seas of the Eastern Demon Realm. They are the elite officers of the Dragon Palace. Every Toad Demon commands 20 shrimp soldiers and 2 crab generals. They are fully deserving of being mid-level officers of the Dragon Palace. The Toad Demons are soldiers of the Dragon Palace. When they are under attack, they will call for their subordinates to assist them in battle. They are very difficult to deal with. You must find a way to break their conk. The Toad Demons in the Orange Sea were much stronger than the tiger-striped sharks. At least they didn't need to rely on jumping from the sea to attack. Demonic beasts of their level could already walk on the wave. These Toad Demons stood on the water as if they were standing on flat ground. They were constantly showing off their prowess. The Toad Spirit standing on the water's surface had indeed improved a lot, but on the other hand, it also made it easier for Gohan to deal with it. Now that they were facing the Toad Demons standing on the water's surface, it was much easier to deal with them. Gohan could save a lot of sword essence for sword descending into the abyss. The Toad Demon was worthy of being a mid-level officer of the Dragon Palace. He actually began to wear equipment. Not only was he wearing a dark red armor, he also had a gorgeous steel fork in his hand. The fork was emitting a deep blue radiance. It was obvious that it was covered in poison. The Toad Demon was indeed a mid-level officer of the Dragon Palace. He even began to wear his equipment. Not only was he wearing a dark red armor, but he also had a rather ornate steel fork in his hand. There were spots of dark blue light on the fork. Obviously, it was something that was covered in poison. The Toad Demon was indeed a mid-level officer of the Dragon Palace. he unexpectedly began to wear equipment. Not only did he have a dark red armor, he also had a gorgeous steel fork in his hand. The fork emitted a deep blue radiance. It was obvious that it was covered in poison. Gu-Han impatiently swung the heaven-reliant sword in his hand to block the toad spirit's attack. Next, the heaven-reliant sword in his hand transformed into motes of starlight. In just a flash, tens of wounds appeared on the toad spirit's body. The toad demon finally realized that he had provoked an incredible character. However, this only aroused the toad demon's hostility. He suddenly gave up on defending, and the pitchforks in his hands turned into two afterimages as they fiercely stabbed towards Gu-Han's body. Unfortunately, this toad demon was facing a monster like Gu-Han. Gu-Han nimbly moved to the side and dodged the toad demon's attack. At the same time, his sword lightly slashed through the toad demon's armpit. The toad demon's arm was chopped off. When the toad demon realized that his arm was gone, he probably felt that there was no hope for him to escape. The toad demon revealed a lifeless expression. Then, the toad demon's skin suddenly bulged. It looked like the bubble wrap that we liked to pinch when we were young. Small round dots appeared. Unfortunately, the toad demon was facing a monster like Gu-Han. Gu-Han nimbly moved to the side and dodged the toad demon's attack. At the same time, his sword slashed across the toad demon's armpit. The toad demon's arm was chopped off. Gu-Han knew that the toad demon was going to use a suicidal skill, Poison Burst. According to the records, the toad spirit's poison burst could deal as much damage as the enemy's remaining HP. It could also deal poison damage equal to half of the enemy's HP. It was truly a skill that could take the enemy down with itself. If the toad spirit encountered a bloodlust sword mistress with low HP, the sword mistress would probably explode to death. Scram! The heaven-reliant sword flashed like a meteor. The dark red bubble on the toad demon's back was instantly pierced by the sword. This was the toad demon's core bubble. As long as this bubble was broken, the toad demon's self-destruction would be interrupted. At the same time, the toad demon would suffer a severe backlash. After that, there was nothing else to say. Gu-Han killed the toad demon with a few slashes and sent it back into the dimensional vortex. System prompt: your kill count has increased by 2 points. As expected, the Orange Sea region's Yuan Ko's kill count was twice as high as the Crimson Sea region's. However, the toad demon was more than twice as difficult to deal with compared to the tiger-striped shark. If he wasn't careful, he might even die to the toad demon. No matter how he looked at it, it was more reasonable to set the kill count at 3 points. Gu-Han calculated. The time needed to defeat a toad demon was about 5 times the time needed to defeat a tiger-striped shark. However, the toad demon's consumption was also much lower. If he kept killing in the Orange Sea region, Gu-Han would have no problem returning to first place. That was especially true when Gu-Han noticed that one of the 2 players he had encountered earlier had fled back to the Crimson Sea region after being unable to defeat the toad demon. He knew that this was the best place to farm kill counts. However, what made Gu-Han curious was what kind of Yuan Ko would appear in the Yellow Sea region. After killing the toad demon that had just appeared, Gu-Han looked at the Yellow Sea region and pondered. In the end, Gu-Han couldn't hold back his curiosity. He decided to leave the Orange Sea region and explore the Yellow Sea region. Fortunately, compared to the 3 to 4 minutes of travel earlier, the Yellow Sea area was much closer to the Orange Sea area. It only took 20 seconds to reach there. When Gu-Han entered the Yellow Sea region and saw his opponent clearly, he couldn't help but laugh. It turned out that the Yellow Sea region was a replica of the Orange Sea region. The Yuan Ko in the Yellow Sea region was also a toad demon. However, there were 2 toads in the Yellow Sea region and they attacked the sword wielder at the same time. Logically speaking, it would be much more difficult to deal with 2 toad demons than to deal with 2 toad demons alone. This was because the 2 toad demons had actually mastered a certain joint attack technique. One would hit the head while the other would hit the legs. It would be hard to dodge, but it would also be hard not to dodge. What was worse was that the first thing the two toads did was to summon 2 shrimp soldiers or a crab general. This meant that Gohan would be surrounded by 4 or 6 Yuan Ko's at the same time. The difficulty of the battle was more than 2 times higher than in the Orange Sea region. It was at least 5 times more difficult than in the Orange Sea region. At least it's a little interesting. I can finally move my body. When Gohan saw this scene, he wasn't unhappy. Instead, he was a little excited. This kind of opponent could slightly raise his interest in the battle. Gohan's movement suddenly became like a willow tree. He kept swaying in the small sea region of the ship. It didn't look elegant and even a little embarrassing, but the effect was surprisingly good. The 2 toads and the 4 shrimp soldiers couldn't even touch Gohan's clothes. They were all dodged by Gohan. However, they took all of Gohan's attack. Moreover, the attacks were very accurate. They were all the weakest parts of their bodies. In less than 20 seconds, these 6 seemingly strong opponents were all defeated by Gohan's sword. It's a pity. If I could use the yin-yang swordsmanship tactics, these 2 toads wouldn't be able to last more than 3 seconds. Gohan sighed. 20 seconds was a little too long. It would be great if he could use the yin-yang swordsmanship tactics in the game. If that was the case, Gohan's strength in the game would be comparable to his strength in the real world. System notification: your kill points have increased by 10. These 2 toads actually gave Gohan 5 kill points each. If this continued, the 100 toads in the Orange Sea region would probably give Gohan 500 kill points. It wouldn't be difficult for him to return to first place. Chapter 594. In the 10th minute of the second round of the qualifiers, the players in the 64th area suddenly realized that the person in first place on the leaderboard had changed. The person in first place had once again become the famous Admiral. His kill count was increasing at an alarming rate of 10 kills every 20 seconds. Very soon, he had pulled away from the person in second place. Inside the Yellow Sea, Gohan was currently clearing out the Toad Demon trio that kept popping up. Meanwhile, when Gohan looked around him, he noticed that the Red and Orange Seas were already packed with players. It seemed like these seas wouldn't be able to hold so many players at all. In the entire sea, the Red Sea was the most numerous, but in reality there weren't many of them. There were only about 1,000 of them, and there were only 100,000 Yuan Ko in them. There were more than 200,000 players left in the game, and the number of tiger-striped sharks in the Red Sea wasn't enough for the players. At the same time, because the Red Sea was the easiest to kill, and Yuan Ko was limited to 100, almost all of the Yuan Ko in the Red Sea were killed by the players in less than 5 minutes. The players could only swarm into the Orange Sea, and by the 5th minute, the number of players in the Orange Sea had skyrocketed. Even though the Toad Demons were having a hard time dealing with the players, it wasn't enough against the sword-bearers who outnumbered them by a few times. System notification: all Yuan Ko in the Red Sea has been killed, and the Red Sea has disappeared. All players who didn't kill any tiger-striped sharks in the Red Sea will automatically leave the qualifiers in 5 seconds. Enjoy your game. There were 200,000 players competing for 100,000 tiger-striped sharks, and some players had killed more than 1 tiger-striped shark in the Red Sea. Therefore, about 60% of the players were teleported away in tears after failing to kill a single Yuan Shen in the Red Sea. At the same time, the surviving players who were fighting for Origin Silks in the Orange Sea naturally noticed Gohan's lone presence in the Yellow Sea. Many courageous players began to move towards the Yellow Sea. However, as soon as these players set foot into the Yellow Sea, 2 Toad Demons suddenly jumped out of nowhere, throwing them into disarray. These players simply couldn't handle the 2 Toad Demons at the same time. As a result, they were beaten to a pulp and had no choice but to flee the Yellow Sea. Forget it, let's go somewhere else. This place isn't suitable for me anymore. Seeing this scene, Gohan shook his head. He knew that he wouldn't be able to stay in the Yellow Sea for long. Therefore, Gohan steered his wooden boat and began to move towards the Green Sea. Some readers might be wondering why Gohan wanted to go somewhere else. The other players couldn't defeat the two toad demons in the Yellow Sea. Gohan didn't need to worry about other players disturbing him. Reality proved that Gohan's move was incomparably wise. A large number of players instantly surged into the Orange Sea. Compared to the Red Sea, which had 1,000 toad demons, the Orange Sea only had 300 toad demons. As a result, the 100 toad demons in the Orange Sea were quickly eliminated. Soon, all the players faced the fate of having to enter the Yellow Sea because the Orange Sea had been cleared. Since it was fate, they had to obey it. System notification: all the Yuan Ko in the Orange Sea has been cleared, and the Orange Sea has disappeared. All players who didn't kill the tiger-striped sharks in the Orange Sea will automatically leave the qualifier in 5 seconds. Have fun! More than half of the players who didn't get anything left the game map. There were only about 20,000 players left, but there were only 100 toad demons in the Yellow Sea. It was a situation where there were too many monks and not enough gruel. These players rushed into the Yellow Sea with the mentality of facing death. Then, they were pleasantly surprised to find that the Yellow Sea was not as difficult to deal with as they had thought. This was because 200 players had entered the Yellow Sea at once. As there were only 100 Yuan Kos in the Yellow Sea, after the current 50 players entered the Yellow Sea, the players who entered the Yellow Sea would not trigger new toad demons. Once these players joined in the battle, the players didn't have to face 2 toad demons at once. On the contrary, each toad demon had to face the encirclement of 2 players. As a result, the Yellow Sea was rapidly being broken through. Soon, it would follow in the footsteps of the Red and Orange Sea, disappearing into the sea. What about Gohan now? Was he slaughtering the toad demons in the Green Sea? That didn't seem to be the case. Gohan didn't enter the Green Sea. Instead, he kept floating in the empty sea. He didn't enter the Green Sea at all. Was Gohan sleepwalking? That wasn't the case. Gohan was doing something that he felt was very meaningful. He was constantly collecting bamboo rafts and wooden boats that floated on the sea. The boats of the players who were forcibly eliminated by the system didn't disappear with them. Instead, they kept floating on the sea like ghosts. Ordinary players didn't care about these boats. Who had the time to bother with these boats? They didn't even have the time to kill the remaining Yuan Kos in the sea. Even a second of delay could cost them the right to participate in the preliminaries. Nobody paid attention to these boats. On the contrary, Gohan's kill count had increased to 539 points. He was more than 400 points ahead of the person in second place. He could float on the sea without any pressure. At least before the Green Sea was cleared, Gohan didn't have to worry about being forced to leave the battlefield. Therefore, Gohan had extra time to focus on these boats. When Gohan controlled his wooden boat to approach the nearby boats, these boats would stick to Gohan's wooden boat and fuse with Gohan's wooden boat. They became materials for Gohan's wooden boat to upgrade. Because most of the players gathered in the Red or Orange Sea, their bamboo rafts and wooden boats were also in the Narrow Sea. Gohan could quickly fuse the bamboo rafts into his wooden boat. In less than a minute, Gohan's wooden boat absorbed 25 bamboo rafts and upgraded into a black awning boat. Transportation level: Level 3, Black Awning Boat, Upgrade Requirement 0/125. The materials needed to upgrade the Black Awning Boat instantly increased by 5 times. However, it wasn't a big problem because there were at least 100 ownerless bamboo rafts or wooden boats in the Red Sea. After upgrading, the Black Awning Boat was twice as fast as the wooden boat. It didn't take long to clear the sea. In only 3 minutes, all the bamboo rafts in the Red Sea where Gohan was absorbed by Gohan. Gohan's Black Awning Boat also leveled up and became an inland river sailboat. Transportation level: Level 4, Inland River Sailboat, Upgrade Requirement 0/625. After reaching level 4, the appearance of the black awning boat changed. The originally narrow black awning boat instantly became a lot more spacious. There was also an additional sail in the center of the boat. With the help of the sail, the black awning boat's speed was greatly increased. It was like a small speedboat sailing on the sea. Its speed was unparalleled. Looking at his boat's appearance, Guhan nodded thoughtfully. He then steered the sailboat towards the nearest specter boat gathering point. Because the sailboat's speed had increased, the size of the sailboat had also increased. Therefore, the speed at which Guhan fused the specter boats had also increased. Previously, it would take him 3 minutes to clear a sea. Now, it only took him 1 minute. While all the players were focused on killing the specter boats in the Orange Sea, Guhan didn't even touch the Green Sea. Instead, he focused on fusing all the specter boats into his boat. When Guhan had cleared all the specter boats in the 8th Sea, Guhan's transportation had also been upgraded to a miniature sail warship. Transportation level, Level 5, Miniature Sail Warship Upgrade Requirement, 0/3125. Yes, at this time, the boat under Guhan's feet had actually become a warship. On both sides of the warship, there were 2 naval cannons of about 30 mm caliber. Looking at the huge black caliber, it was unknown whether these things could harm Yuan Ko. Anyway, even if it was an 800 caliber naval cannon that could destroy half an acre of land, it would not be able to cause any damage to Yuan Ko. Just when Guhan had collected more than 600 specter boats, the Yellow Sea was finally cleared by the fanatical players. System announcement: all of the Yuan Li in the Yellow Sea region have been cleared. The Yellow Sea region has disappeared. All players who are not killed in the Yellow Sea region will be automatically eliminated from the preliminaries in 5 seconds. Have fun. Guhan looked at the time. At this time, about 20 minutes had passed, and there were only 10 minutes left. He didn't know whether the Green Sea could last for 10 minutes. Looking at the data of the second player, he had increased his kill count to 167. He didn't have to worry about this anymore. Even if he gave him another 30 minutes, he wouldn't be able to surpass him. However, Guhan still decided to go to the Green Sea, and then at least kill 1 Yuan Ko in the Green Sea before continuing to collect the remaining specter boat. At this time, the advantage of Guhan's boat's speed showed. In the blink of an eye, it had entered the nearest Green Sea. Although the miniature sail warship had the word miniature on it, it was only a miniature warship. On land, it was the power of 5 or 6 SUVs combined. The awe-inspiring appearance of Ling left the other players stunned. Looking at the bamboo raft under their feet, these players almost wanted to dive into the sea. Where did this warship come from? Chapter 595. In the forum, all the players who followed Military Governor were dumbfounded. What kind of joke was this? Everyone else was just a small bamboo raft. How did he suddenly become a sail warship? How was he supposed to live? Moreover, since he had spent so much time collecting specter ships, why did he still occupy the first place? Military Governor, are you even human? After being shocked for a while, more players began to discuss under the post. Was it worth it for Military Governor to spend so much time collecting specter ships to upgrade his transportation? If Military Governor had not spent so much time collecting warships, Military Governor might even have been able to push his score to more than 1,000 kills. Speaking of which, even if he only has 500 kills, I think Military Governor should be number 1 in all 64 district maps, a player wrote in his reply. Let me check. Players immediately followed the post. After a few minutes, a player replied, "This is crazy. The number 1 in the 10th district has actually reached 960 kills. He's only 1 step away from breaking 1,000. Because of such a reply, the entire forum was in an uproar. Soon, information about the number 1 in the 10th district was dug out. This player was called the good guy of Fantasy Village. It was said that he was the only son of the leader of the second strongest sword sect, Fantasy Village Sword Sect. As for how he obtained 1,000 kills, only God knew. Back to Gohan, Gohan took the lead and entered the Green Sea. Soon, Yuan Ko revealed his true form in the Green Sea. It was a huge, white, furry sea lion with a huge black horn. It was as large as Gohan's miniature sail warship. Yuan Ko name, Sea Lion. Grade, Soul Level. Current World. Digital World. Entry Dungeon. All sea environment dungeons and most game world dungeons. Health points, 4 stars. Attack, 3 stars. Agility, 1 star. Demonic power, 2 stars. Abilities: thick fur and strong body. It has a structure that allows it to survive even in extremely cold places. The sharp horns were made of one of the rare metals, mithril, and the skin under the fur also had the same hardness. The part of the claw that was in contact with the ground was a humidity-absorbing heater that could produce a high temperature with its own will. Therefore, it was possible to gain a foothold on the ice without slipping. However, it seemed that it was impossible to move quickly. During battle, it would roar like a lion to intimidate its opponent. Ultimate move: Peak of Heat, Aurora Borealis, Icicle Fur, Harpoon Machine Gun. Introduction: one of the Yuan Ko of the digital world. He is also one of the few Yuan Ko that can surpass the limits of realms and evolve on his own. Legend has it that there is a Viking, the ultimate evolved form of a sea lion. He is a powerful universe-level Yuan Ko. The sea lion belonged to the Yuan Ko of the digital world. It was considered a unique species among the Yuan Ko. Just like the Pokemon Yuan Ko, they could surpass the limits of most Yuan Ko to increase their realms. They relied on the mysterious power of purification to become stronger Yuan Ko. Gohan had met such a Yuan Ko once before. It was in real life. An intern teacher, sorry, I can't remember this guy's name, but I don't want to go back and look for it, gave Gohan a small demon beast. Then, this small demon beast turned into a demon beast and gave Gohan a fatal blow when he was still an ancient sword wielder at that time. This was the first time Gohan was seriously injured and had to enter the medical pod. He also owed Liunian Ling a few million RMB. Gohan couldn't help but sigh when he saw the Digimon Yuan Ko again. It was only 2 months ago, but now that he thought about it, it felt like years had passed. Harpoon Machine Gun. The sea lion did not hold back. When it saw Gohan, it used its ultimate skill. The harpoon machine gun fired the black horn on the sea lion's head like a missile. However, the speed of the spear did not seem to be very fast. Gohan could easily knock it away. In fact, that was what Gohan did. He swung his heavenly sword in the air and accurately blocked the horn. However, what happened next surprised Gohan. The harpoon, which looked like a solid horn, actually exploded the moment it came into contact with Gohan's heavenly sword. A huge flame exploded in front of Gohan. The shockwave and debris hit Gohan's body, causing his personal shield to crackle. Personal shield energy, -500. The explosion actually destroyed 500 points of Gohan's personal shield energy. Gohan's current personal shield energy was only 6,000 points. This was the first time Gohan had been injured since he entered the preliminaries. However, the harpoon machine gun was not all the sea lion had up its sleeve. After the horn exploded and a large amount of frost-like mist came out, the sea lion quickly pounced on Gohan's warship. It wanted to knock Gohan's warship down to the bottom of the sea. Kaboom! At that moment there was a loud noise. Gohan's miniature warship finally exploded with the power that a miniature warship should have. The cannons on both sides of the warship fired a hot cannon at the sea lion. The cannon hit the sea lion's body, causing the sea lion to stop in its track. -500. The cannon actually caused the same amount of damage as the sea lion's harpoon machine gun. It directly took 1/10 of the sea lion's 5,000 HP. The sea lion was humiliated by the warship's cannons. It immediately raised the harpoon on its head and prepared to fire another harpoon machine gun. This time, however, it was not so simple. A figure leapt out from the icy mist and landed on top of the sea lion's head. The figure thrust the heaven-reliant sword deep into the sea lion's head, causing the sea lion to roar out in a frenzy. There was nothing much to say about the rest of the battle. In any case, Gohan suppressed the sea lion and eliminated it. However, one had to admit that the sea lion was definitely the most difficult to deal with among the Soul-tier Yuan-ko. Not only was its attack power high, but its defense was also terrifying. It could condense a layer of ice armor with 2,000 points of shield energy on the surface of its body. Gohan had to break this layer of ice armor before he could continue attacking. If an ordinary treasure sword wielder were to encounter such an opponent in the sea, they would definitely be in deep trouble. Even Gohan had to spend a full minute to kill the sea lion without using the 9 swords of mysterious heaven. However, the sea lion beast's reward was still very generous. It gave Gohan a total of 20 kills. However, no matter how high the kill count was, Gohan was not interested. After killing the sea lion and ensuring that he would not be kicked out, Gohan left the green area and returned to the red area where the ships were gathered. He then began the long process of leveling up his ship again. Unfortunately, even after 30 minutes, Gohan's ship did not level up again. Instead, it was stuck at the 2000 EXP point. However, Gohan was still considered lucky. The players who were preparing to enter the green area were the ones who were planning to attack the sea lion. They were planning to use the same strategy they used in the yellow area to surround and attack the sea lion. However, they had overlooked a problem. The sea lion's harpoon machine gun was actually an AoE attack. Especially when a large number of players entered the green area, 100 sea lions appeared at the same time and fired their harpoon machine guns. The scene was extremely spectacular. The players who were suffering were directly hit by various AoE attacks. Some players died directly inside the green area. Only a small number of players escaped, but they did not dare to enter the green area again. System notification. The second round of the preliminaries has ended. You will have 10 minutes to rest and prepare for the last round of the preliminaries. Hence, the second round of the preliminaries ended abruptly. Gohan was ranked first with 559 points in terms of kills, while the second was 262 points. Unfortunately, during the preparation stage, Gohan could no longer control his miniature warship. Otherwise, Gohan would have absorbed the remaining 1000 EXP points to upgrade his vehicle. System notification. Dear players, the final round of the preliminaries has begun. There are a total of 50 buoys, numbered from 1 to 50, on the surface of the sea. Each buoy has a guardian Yuan Shun. Only by killing the guardian Yuan Shun will you be able to sign in. After completing the sign-in of 50 buoys, you will receive 500 kill points. A system notification, special reminder. Killing the Guardian Yuan-ko of the 50 buoys will grant kill points. The kill points will be distributed according to the damage dealt. Players, please work together to defeat Guardian Yuan-ko. Please note that the first player to complete 50 buoys will have a certain advantage in the subsequent semifinals. After seeing this notification, Gohan more or less understood the dead end of this preliminaries. The first round was purely a test of players' strength. Players who could not protect their tiger-striped shark were not qualified to enter the semifinals. The second round was a test of players' competitiveness. Players who could not win against a large number of players were also not qualified to enter the semifinals. Meanwhile, the final round tested the cooperation between players and their maximum damage output. To ensure that players could work together, the system had even changed the kill points from the last hit to an even distribution based on their damage output. This way, players wouldn't have to hide their trump cards to steal kills. Instead, they would have to use their strongest attacks. Just a small qualifier, and there were already so many things going on. He didn't know if it was set up by humans or by Tomono Kakashi. If it was set up by Tomono Kakaze, then things would become very interesting. Chapter 596. After the first 2 rounds of elimination, there were only slightly more than 1,000 players left out of the 730,000 players in Area 64. The elimination rate was as high as 1 in 1,000. Those who remained in the area were the best of the best. They were absolute masters among the sword wielders. These masters were all gearing up for battle. Once the 10-minute break was over, they would rush to the 50 buoys, kill Yuan Ko who was guarding the buoys, and hide from Yuan Ko's hidden point. As the countdown on the controller reached 0, the boats under the players' feet immediately sped away, heading straight to their respective targets. Gohan's first target was not the buoy closest to him. Instead, he chose a buoy that was relatively far away from other players. Gohan was not interested in cooperating with other players. The fewer players who disturbed his battle, the better. The highest level boat under the others' feet was a black awning boat. When Gohan had reached his relatively far target, their boats were still slowly rocking along the way. Gohan did not say anything. He patted the buoy, and a tiger-striped shark jumped out of the water. What's going on? Why is the Yuan Ko guarding this spot just a tiger-striped shark? Gohan thought that at least it was a flood dragon or dragon ko. Only then would it be worthy of being a boss. However, the next moment, Gohan knew why it was still a tiger-striped shark guarding this spot. This tiger-striped shark was different from the previous tiger-striped shark. Whether it was attack power, defense, or health points, it was several times better than the previous tiger-striped shark. Especially its health points. Gohan dealt more than 500 damage with his sword, but the tiger-striped shark's health bar only decreased by about 1%. The previous sword attack was enough to make an ordinary tiger-striped shark lose a quarter of its health points. For Gohan, these changes were not a big deal. The attack power was several times higher than Gohan's, and the defense was several times higher. Gohan could attack the tiger-striped shark's weakness. As for the tiger-striped shark's health points, it was dozens of times higher. As for the tiger-striped shark's health points, it was useless. At this time, the advantage of Gohan's miniature warship was also reflected. One of the ship's cannons fired at the tiger-striped shark at the same time, dealing 500 damage with no change. It seemed that the damage of the ship's cannons was fixed. No matter how high the defense was, it was useless. Under the simultaneous attacks of Gohan's heaven-reliant sword and the ship's cannons, the tiger-striped shark's health points decreased at a speed visible to the naked eye. When several players who were also targeting this buoy arrived, the tiger-striped shark had already breathed its last breath and returned to the dimensional whirlpool. F***CK. Why did we go through so much trouble to come here? The 3 players who were close to the buoy looked at each other. Apart from wry smiles, embarrassment, and helplessness, there was no other expression on their faces. There was nothing more frustrating than this situation. Comparing oneself to others was infuriating. System notification. Buoy 39's guardian Yuan Ko has died. Player military governor has completed sign-in and obtained 1 sign-in kill point. System notification. Player military governor has dealt 100% damage to Buoy 39's guardian Yuan Ko. Player military governor has obtained a total of 300 sign-in kill points. This system prompt shocked everyone present. At this time, they had just arrived at the side of the guardian skeleton they had chosen. They hadn't even touched the buoy, but one of the guardian skeletons had already died. Moreover, it had been killed with 100% full damage. Was this commander a human or a monster? It seemed that they didn't need to fight for first place. They could just fight for second place. Well, if they didn't consider the inhuman military governor, second place was still first place. Kill points, 859. Gohan glanced at his result. He controlled the miniature sailboat and sped towards his next destination. Definitely not with that monster military governor. Let's go there. The three players made the correct decision at the same time. They headed in the opposite direction of Gohan, towards another buoy. System notification. Player military governor has dealt 95% damage to buoy 30's guardian Yuan Ko. Player military governor has obtained a total of 290 sign-in kill points. System notification. Player military governor has dealt 90% damage to buoy number 17's guardian, Yuan Ko. Player military governor has obtained 280 kill points. Notifications like this kept ringing in the ears of all the players. These players were already numb to these notifications. In just 20 minutes, they had already heard such a notification for the 9th time. This meant that the military governor had participated in the siege of the 9 buoys guarding Yuan Ko, and he had obtained the most kill points from all of them. At this time, Gohan's kill points had reached 2,759, pulling away from the second-place player by more than 2,000 kill points. There was no longer any suspense about the first place in Area 64. System notification. Buoy number 50's guardian, Yuan Ko, is currently recovering his HP. All players, please surround him and prevent his HP from recovering. Suddenly, among the many notifications about the military governor killing Yuan Ko, a completely different notification attracted all the players' attention. What's going on? I remember there are more than 30 players at buoy number 50. Why do we still need to surround him? The players who heard this system notification were puzzled. Then, they raised their heads and saw a huge tortoise lying on the water surface at buoy number 50. More than 30 players ran away from the tortoise as if there was something terrifying on its body. The tortoise was lazily stretching out its tortoise head and limbs, staring at everyone innocently. F***ck. That's a black tortoise. Someone recognized the origin of this tortoise. Legend had it that the black tortoise was the descendant of one of the 4 mythical beasts, the black tortoise. It was a true descendant of a mythical beast. The weakest black tortoise had the strength of a flood dragon Yuan Ko, while the strongest black tortoise could reach the level of a meteor tier Yuan Ko. Looking at the size of this black tortoise, it should be a dragon tier Yuan Ko. No wonder more than 30 treasured sword tier swordbearers failed to besiege it. Instead, they all ran away. By asking the players who were fleeing from the black tortoise, the others roughly understood what had happened. Although this black tortoise was a dragon tier Yuan Ko, it seemed to be peace-loving and unwilling to attack. It just lay there and let the other players attack it. These players thought they had met a good opponent. They excitedly let their sword ladies use their ultimate skills to deal with the black tortoise. But when they really fought, they found that it was not that this black tortoise did not attack, but used defense as its own offense. In the face of attacks, the black tortoise would simply shrink its body into the tortoise shell, and all the attacks could only land on the tortoise shell. What was even more frustrating was that this tortoise shell actually had a shameless damage reflection effect. As long as you dealt any damage to the tortoise shell, all of the damage would be reflected back to you. Furthermore, this black tortoise had an incomparably thick and long HP of several million. All the sword wielders had not even managed to deal 0.5% of its HP before their own personal shields were already on the verge of collapsing. The more damage you dealt to the black tortoise, the faster you would die. So these swordbearers ran away from the black tortoise as if they were running for their lives. They were no longer willing to face this kind of unsolvable Yuan Ko. They could only run away from the black tortoise, not daring to touch it. At this time, after Gohan sent the 9th guardian Yuan Ko into the dimensional vortex, he began to kill the next guardian Yuan Ko of buoy 41. Seeing that Gohan was coming toward Yuan Ko, the dozen players who were besieging this Yuan Ko were a little anxious. They had only killed less than 30% of the black tortoise's HP. If the military governor came, all the achievements would fall into the hands of the military governor in less than a minute or two. So, one of the players shouted in panic, Military Governor, if you have the ability to kill that black tortoise, why are you fighting with us for so little kill points? Originally, this was just what the player said in anger. He did not expect that Gohan would really give up the other guardian Yuan Ko, which was easy to deal with, and face the almost unsolvable black tortoise. But unexpectedly, because of his words, Gohan actually stopped his ship. He hesitated for a while in the same place, then he turned around and killed the black tortoise without hesitation. It turns out that this military governor is an idiot. The player sighed and continued to devote himself to the fiery business of killing Guardian Yuan Ko. God knew if this military governor would turn around and rob his subordinate, Yuan Ko, after he found that he could not defeat the black tortoise at all. Gohan's warship gradually approached the position of Black Tortoise. This black tortoise saw another player running over unknowingly. It yawned slowly and retracted its body into the tortoise shell. It looked like it didn't care how the player hit it. At this time, Gohan was already more than 2,000 points ahead of the second place. The first place in the preliminary of the 64 area could not escape from Gohan's hands in any case. So when other players showed resistance to him, Gohan did not continue to do this kind of annoying thing. He decided to put his main target on Black Tortoise, because the kill points could no longer arouse Gohan's interest. Instead, it was this kind of difficult boss that aroused Gohan's interest. First, Gohan tried to find a breakthrough from the 4 entrances of Black Tortoise. Maybe he could kill the inside of Black Tortoise's body from the entrances of its limbs. But when Black Tortoise completely closed its limbs, something that surprised Gohan happened. The tortoise shell at the entrances of Black Tortoise's limbs and head suddenly grew automatically. Soon, all the entrances of Black Tortoise's limbs were blocked. Black Tortoise completely became an invincible tortoise shell. It was impossible to find a place to bite. Chapter 597. The hot topics on the Sword Maiden Online forum changed rapidly, but it seemed that the military governor was always involved. When the qualifiers reached the last stage, another post about the military governor blew up the entire forum. Even the military governor has moments of helplessness. It was this post that caused the number of discussions on the forum to once again reach a peak. This player's post included a video of the battle between the military governor and the tortoise. In the video, the military governor's combat skills were exquisite, and his swordsmanship was also unique. However, no matter how exquisite his swordsmanship was, it seemed a bit incomprehensible when used against a big, motionless tortoise. This black tortoise only cared about shrinking its body into the tortoise shell, and even the military governor couldn't do anything to it. From the video, it could be seen that after the military governor and his warship attacked for a while, his personal shield began to fluctuate constantly, which showed that the military governor's personal shield had lost a lot of energy. If the battle continued, it would not be the tortoise that would die, but the number 1 swordsman, the military governor, next to it. As for this black tortoise, its HP bar actually decreased by less than 1%, almost no change could be seen. At the end of the video, even the military governor could only resign to his fate and leave the black tortoise's side. Seeing that the military governor had left, the black tortoise immediately proudly stretched out its head and limbs with a satisfied expression. This was truly a helpless situation. No matter how much damage he dealt, he would be returned with the same amount. He couldn't even dodge. Putting himself in the position of a commander, the millions of players on the forum didn't know what to do with this damn tortoise. Soon, the information from other areas came in. It turned out that the number 50 buoy in each area was guarded by this black tortoise. Just like the black tortoise in Area 64, after the players found out about the black tortoise, they also avoided it as if it was the plague, for fear that they could not avoid it in time. What should we do? The other 49 Yuan Kos will be finished sooner or later. At that time, we still have to think of ways to deal with this black tortoise. The players in the forum began to worry. I'm afraid that we won't be able to kill this damn black tortoise even if we attack it together. The system won't be so cruel. In my opinion, it can be divided into several echelons to attack. When the personal shields of the sword-bearers of one echelon are about to be depleted, they can change to another team of sword-bearers. This team will go down to restore the energy of their personal shields. In this way, they can kill the black tortoise sooner or later. Not bad. That was a good idea. However, this method requires everyone to work together, and it has nothing to do with attack power, only the energy of the personal shield. What a pity for the military governor. What a waste of all his skills. It's useless on this black tortoise. The players all agreed with the method that the player came up with. They felt that it was the only way to defeat the black tortoise. However, in this way, the role of the military governor was minimal. The damage that Gohan could cause had nothing to do with his attack power, but only with the energy of his personal shield. To put it bluntly, he was exchanging the energy of the shield for damage. Gohan's personal shield was only about 6,000 quarks of shield energy. It could only be said that it was above the middle level among the sword-bearers of the sword level. Some old people who were stuck at the sword level had more than 50,000 quarks of sword element, and many of them had more than 10,000 personal shield energy. They could cause far more damage to the black tortoise than Gohan. This time, the military governor seemed to encounter the first Waterloo in his life. He didn't know how many killing points this black tortoise could distribute in the end. Would the military governor's lead of more than 2,000 killing points be surpassed? In Area 64, Gohan was also thinking about this important question. Just like what was written in the post, Gohan really didn't know what to do with this black tortoise. In the process of the experiment just now, no matter where Gohan attacked the black tortoise, no matter what sword move he used to attack the black tortoise, Gohan almost used the strongest killing move of the 9 swords of mysterious heaven. But no matter how he tried, the result was the same. Gohan's attack would inevitably bounce back to him 100% of the time. There was no way to avoid it. He didn't even have the right to miss. It was a tragedy. So in the end, Gohan didn't even dare to use the last killing move. This killing move had great damage. If it all bounced back, Gohan's personal shield would be broken in an instant. At that time, it would be Gohan's own body that would bear the damage. It was estimated that he would die miserably at that time. Can I only use the way of changing shifts to grind down its HP? Gohan looked at this lazy, extremely arrogant black tortoise basking in the sun. He couldn't help but feel a little annoyed. This was the first time that Gohan encountered an opponent in the game that he didn't know how to deal with. The damage bouncing of this Yuan Ko was too disgusting. If the black tortoise in reality was also so disgusting, then Gohan really had to walk around the black tortoise. And according to Gohan's calculation, if he really killed this black tortoise by changing shifts, with the black tortoises as high as 5 million HP, it would probably take at least 2 hours to kill this stinky tortoise. This was the most understandable result. If there were some accidents in the process, such as this black tortoise not willing to die like this, then Gohan would be in big trouble. System notification: the guardian of the 5th buoy Yuan Ko has died. Player Extreme Sword has completed sign-in and obtained 1 sign-in kill point. System notification: Player Extreme Sword has caused 11.3% damage to the guardian of the 5th buoy Yuan Ko and obtained a total of 32 kill points. Player Perceptive Erosion Sword has caused 10.1% damage to the guardian of the 5th buoy, 30 kill points. Player Xianyuan 6 has caused 8.2% damage to the guardian, 24 kill points. Player Toya Lake. Player Big Alive has caused 1.2% damage to the guardian, 3 kill points. While Gohan was thinking about these problems, the first boss that was completely killed by other players appeared. This meant that the remaining guardian, Yuan Ko, would soon die. This black tortoise would become the last problem that stuck everyone. At that moment, Gohan suddenly felt as if his blood was gradually boiling. This was a feeling that could only be felt when one's blood was boiling and wanted to kill the enemy. Gohan rarely felt this way. The last time he felt this way was when he returned to the core area of Yuzhong City. In order to protect the entire city, he had to fight a battle of wits and courage with Yuan Ko. He did not expect that the qualifiers, which he thought would be very boring, would actually make him feel this way. Of course, the degree of this feeling of blood boiling was not high. It was far from the level of feeling he had in Yuzhong City. At most, it made Gohan's body feel a little hot. With passion and interest, it was easy to deal with it. Gohan sat down on his battleship and thought for a while. He stood up and looked at the surrounding environment. He looked at the lazy and arrogant black tortoise. Finally, Gohan focused his attention on the message record. As long as Gohan thought about it, he could access the battle record generated in the battle just now. It clearly recorded some of Gohan's battle data. You have caused 600 points of damage to the black tortoise. The black tortoise's thorn tortoise shell has caused 600 points of damage to you. Your miniature sail warship has caused 500 points of damage to the black tortoise. You have caused 1563 points of damage to the black tortoise. The black tortoise's thorn tortoise shell has caused 1563 points of damage to you. Your miniature sail warship has caused 500 points of damage to the black tortoise. The energy of your personal shield is less than 10%. Please proceed with caution in the next battle. Gohan kept flipping through these materials. A small flame in his mind burned more and more fiercely. Gohan seemed to have thought of something. He thought of a way to deal with this damn tortoise. Gohan put away the battle record, and then immediately ran to the warship's controller to check the status of the warship. He pulled up the basic attribute column of the entire warship. Frowny face miniature sail warship, LV-5. Cannot be damaged, cannot be sunk. Surface combat type vehicle. Sailing speed, 18 knot. Volume size, 15 by 8*3 armament, 230mm naval cannons. Damage, fixed damage, 500 points. Yes, that's it. Gohan looked at it and knocked on the manager hard. He finally found a way to deal with this black tortoise. In the forum, all the information about the preliminaries was constantly sent to the internet. Yuan Ko guarding number 1 to number 49 in the 10th area are all dead. They are besieging the black tortoise. Such a message suddenly came out on the forum, which meant that finally, some areas began to unite to attack the 50 black tortoises. The 18th area has also begun to besiege. One more, the 29th area has begun to besiege. The 32nd, the 7th. New areas were constantly joining the besiege of the black tortoise, but the name of the 64th area had not been heard for a long time. This was really strange. What about the 64th area? How are they now? Sure enough, there was immediately this question from the onlookers. The 64th area is still clearing the other Yuan Ko. According to the news received 3 minutes ago, they still have 12 guarding Yuan Ko that have not been eliminated. A player replied. Because the official did not open a live broadcast channel, the players could only manually understand the written news of the 64th area through the communication of the friends of the players in the 64th area. If one wanted to get screenshots or video news, then the players in the 64th area must exit from the 64th area, then enter the forum and post their own video. Therefore, the news that the players in the forum got was delayed. Damn. There are already more than 40 areas besieging the black tortoise. Isn't there the military governor in the 64th area? Why are there still 12 guarding Yuan Ko that have not been eliminated? Some onlookers couldn't understand. Where did the military governor go? Chapter 598. Area 64, where Gohan was located, was actually the last batch of sword-bearers to sign up in the entire game. Area 64 was the last place among the 64 areas. Those powerful sword-bearers usually couldn't wait to register their names a few days before the registration. Therefore, the top-ranking areas were all before Area 40. The sword-bearers who stayed until the end to register, except for a few who were not in a hurry, were basically players who had just rushed into the sword level. The strength of the entire Area 64 was naturally very weak. Therefore, when the remaining 49 Yuan Co-Guardians were killed in most areas, there were still 12 Yuan Co-Guardians left in Area 64. If Gohan hadn't killed 9 of them by himself in the early stage, it was estimated that there would be 21 Yuan Co-Guardians left now, ranking the last place among all areas. In fact, if Gohan helped the remaining players to encircle and kill Yuan Co-Guardians together, Area 64 would still be among the best. However, Gohan did not help the other players kill Yuan Co-Guardians after he suffered a setback from Black Tortoise. So, what was Gohan doing now? You would never imagine that the military governor had actually returned to what he did in the second round, which was to constantly enter the Red Sea area and absorb the bamboo rafts or wooden boats into his miniature sail warship. When the other players killed the remaining 12 Yuan Co-Guardians, Gohan had already upgraded his miniature sail warship by 1 level. Transportation level, Level 6, Miniature Sail Warship Upgrade Requirement, 2541/6250. Compared with the miniature sail warship, the speed of the miniature sail warship was increased to 20 knots. At the same time, the caliber of the naval gun was increased to 50 mm, and the fixed damage was increased to 1,000 points. The number of naval guns was also increased to 4, which were installed on both sides of the warship. That was to say, Gohan could fire 2 cannons at the same time, causing 2,000 points of damage. Compared with the previous miniature sail warship, the combat power of Gohan's warship was increased by a full 4 times. At this time, Gohan looked at the players around him who were rushing to the remaining Yuan Co-Guardians from the buoys that had been signed in. He thought about it and said, "Friends, even if you rush over there, you won't get any kill points. Why don't you stay and listen to me?" TSK, crazy, who cares about you? Although Gohan's kind words were sincere, the players who were in a hurry to get the last kill points ignored Gohan's good intentions. They didn't even look at Gohan and flashed past Gohan. Of course, not everyone was as blind as a bat. There were still 5 players who stayed. However, 4 of them were female swordsmen who were looking at the military governor with fiery eyes. They seemed to be the military governor's fangirls. Only one male player, who had a shrewd look in his eyes, stayed. "Hello, military governor. I am the Orange Politics Faction's Major. Nice to meet you." Although the only male player took the initiative to bow to Gohan, he was still full of arrogance as if he didn't care about Gohan at all. "Great military governor. You're so handsome," a female swordsman named Adorable Young Girl said, infatuated. Yes. Great military governor, you're so handsome," Little Chien, who was named Burial Mound, said. It was unknown if she was Burial Mound's sister. "Great military governor, you have no idea. I called you so many times just now, but you ignored me. I thought you didn't like me anymore." This female player with small eyes was called Katsilon Big Eyes. It seemed like she really wanted her eyes to be bigger. "Great military governor, your Scar is so cool. I like you to death, Scar, I like you to death. My QQ number is 231-602-0531. You must add me." This female player, who had even announced her QQ ID, had a very normal name. Her name was Arendelle. Compared to the somewhat cold and elegant Major Orange Politics, the remaining 4 female swordsmen were the typical military governor's fangirls. They stared at Gohan with red eyes, as if they wanted to eat Gohan in one bite. However, don't think that these 4 girls were weak just because they were confused. To be able to survive out of 730,000 people, these 4 female players were probably the best among the swordsmen. They were the kind of top players who could take on 3 or 4 swordsmen at once. Great military governor, have you thought of a way to deal with the black tortoise and need our cooperation? Don't worry, we will strictly follow your orders. Even if you want us to strip naked, we will not hesitate. Burial Mound Disco Dance said enthusiastically. She looked like she wanted to take off her clothes right now. Ahem. Gohan coughed. That's right. I have thought of a way to deal with the black tortoise. However, I don't need you to fight it. You just need to do one thing now. What is it? Major Orange Politics' eyes lit up, revealing a curious look. It's very simple. Gohan smiled. He tapped the small warship under his feet. There are all kinds of ownerless specter ships around him. All you need to do is absorb those specter ships into your own ship and do your best to raise your ship's level. That's it. Major Orange Political Sect was confused. He had no idea what the impenetrable ice bottle gourd was up to. But Mr. Military Governor, we are currently ranked in the hundreds. If we don't work hard to earn more kill points, we will be eliminated. Why should we waste our time leveling up these useless ships? Major Orange Politics retorted. That's enough. Why do you have so much to say? If Great Military Governor asks you to do something, just do it. What's the point of babbling? Before Gohan could answer, Arendelle interrupted him. As expected, the power and logic of a fangirl were limitless. This made Major Orange Jingzong's face twitch uncontrollably. He started to regret staying by the commander's side because of his curiosity. That's right. That's right. You said it yourself. You are currently ranked in the hundreds. Even if you try to earn some kill points, you won't be able to make it to the top 16. Why don't you listen to Great Military Governor? Military Governor won't harm us. He's the smartest, Katsilon said, blinking her small eyes. Her words made sense in the beginning, but the latter part left Gohan speechless. All right, everyone. From now on, we are comrades in the same boat. Gohan scanned the group. I don't care what your current rank is, but I can guarantee that as long as you listen to my arrangements, all of you will be able to make it to the top 16 and advance to the next round of the semifinals. Gohan said resolutely. Although no one knew what gave Gohan the confidence to say something like that, even the most suspicious Major Orange Politics felt at ease when he heard Gohan's words. It was as if what Gohan said was the truth. As for the 4 fangirls, they were already drooling as they stared at the military governor, as if they were intoxicated by Gohan's voice. What the hell? Major Orange Politics rolled his eyes. He was about to steer his ship away. Wait, I haven't said anything yet. Gohan stopped Major Orange Politics and said, split up and advance in 5 different directions. Don't snatch the territories that others are interested in. You have to upgrade your ships as quickly as possible. Remember, the higher the level, the better. Also, all 5 of you need to add my communicator. Since teams aren't allowed here, we can only communicate through the communicator. You must listen to my commands. Without my orders, you are not allowed to stop upgrading your ships no matter what others do. Do you understand? Understood, the 5 of them said one after another, although none of them understood what was going on. Hey, big news. The military governor is looking for teammates now. He has found 5 teammates. I wonder what he's going to do. In the forum, people were still paying attention to the military governor. When they suddenly found out that the military governor was recruiting teammates for the first time, they were all excited. I'm so jealous of those girls. They can actually form a team with the military governor. Those be asterisk cheese. Let's go hunt them down. A female fan said angrily. Has the military governor figured out a way to defeat the black tortoise? Among the jealousy, there were still some rational voices. I knew it. The military governor hasn't taken any action for such a long time. He must be thinking of a way to defeat the black tortoise. The way to defeat the black tortoise must require 6 people to form something like the 6 Harmonies formation. Just wait and see. Soon, the military governor will go back and lead his team to defeat the Black Tortoise. If not, I'll chop my D*CK off live, a player replied excitedly. Well, the person above can go and start the live broadcast. The military governor's team has started to take action. They didn't go to deal with the Black Tortoises. Instead, they ran to upgrade their ships. The latest information of the military governor was immediately presented. I don't understand. Can an expert explain why the military governor is doing this? If I could understand, I would be the military governor. I think this military governor is a fool. He's a fool. He used to be lucky. Now, his IQ is finally exposed. F***CK. If you say one more word, I'll scold you for 3 days and 3 nights without swearing. Believe it or not. Although there were many fans of the military governor, most players were not optimistic about Gohan's actions. Only a few of Gohan's staunch fans held the attitude that what the military governor said and did was the truth, so there would be no mistake. They kept insisting that the military governor was doing this because there was a big secret. In an instant, the entire forum was in chaos. Chapter 599. Just as the forum was debating about the behavior of the admiral in the 64th area, except for the Black Tortoise, the 12 guardian puppets were finally cleared out. If someone gave them a ranking, then the 64th area would be ranked 58th out of all 64 areas, which could be regarded as the bottom of the list. Of course, most of the players in Area 64 did not think so. After cheering, they began to gather at the Black Tortoise's position. While moving, they pointed at Gohan's group of 6, who were collecting specter ships to level up, as though their behavior was ridiculous. Damn it! Sema Orange was so depressed that he wanted to quit on the spot. However, on second thought, it would be even more embarrassing if he gave up and joined the camp to fight the Black Tortoise. Those guys would not give up the opportunity to mock him. Therefore, Sema Orange gave up on the thought of giving up. However, he still sent a message to the military governor. Military governor, when are we going to end this? Wait for my order to be passed down. The military governor's message was cold, which made Sema Orange twitch his mouth in dissatisfaction. However, he had no choice but to continue collecting the ships around him. At this time, he was already on a paddle sailboat. After a while, it would be upgraded to a miniature sailboat. On the other hand, the miniature sailboat under Gohan's feet was still a miniature sailboat. After all, Gohan still needed more than 10,000 bamboo rafts to upgrade. Everyone, listen to me. Based on the experience of those brothers and the Black Tortoise's 100% rebound ability, we have to work together to deal with this Black Tortoise. When all the players in Area 64 gathered near the Black Tortoise, the player who ranked second on the leaderboard took the initiative to speak. What's your plan? How do you want us to cooperate? The other players did not refute the words of the player who ranked second. After all, this was a boss that could only be defeated by cooperation. As long as the other party's words made sense, there was no harm in listening to him. It's very simple. Several of my friends who follow me on the forum told me through communication that there is already a strategy to deal with the Black Tortoise on the forum. Our personal shields can recover energy, and we can even replace them with ancient sword-grade swordmothers. However, this Black Tortoise's HP won't recover. This is our only chance. Later, I will divide everyone into 3 echelons. 1 echelon will attack, and the other 2 echelons will stay away from the Black Tortoise to restore the energy of their personal shields. Once the energy of the echelon's personal shields is exhausted, the other echelon will attack. In this way, we can continue to link up and attack the Black Tortoise. We can wear this Black Tortoise to death. The voice of the person in second place was loud and clear, and his aura was high. He indeed had the ability to inspire people. Most importantly, the echelon rotation attack method was reasonable and convincing. It was the last solution everyone could come up with, and so the rest of the players agreed to it. Next, we will start to assign the members of the 3 echelons. Let's move the camera away from District 64 and into District 10. Unlike the slow and trashy District 64, District 10 had always been at the forefront of the entire competition. Among all the districts, they were the first to enter the Black Tortoise battle. Compared to District 64, which only had 1,000 people left, District 10 had 3,000 people left, which was about 3 times the number of District 64. Moreover, the first person in the entire qualifier's kill points was in District 10. He was the player in District 10, Fantasyland's Good Guy. At this time, the Fantasyland's Good Guy's kill points had reached an astonishing 6,000 kill points, which was more than double that of Guhan. But this Fantasyland's good person was different from Guhan. Guhan was alone, and all of his achievements were achieved by himself, one sword at a time. However, this Fantasyland's good guy relied on the help of many people to send him up. Among the top 10 sword sects, there was no doubt that the Storm Wave sword sect ranked first, and the Fantasyland sword sect ranked second as well. From the name, everyone could roughly guess that this Fantasyland's good guy was a member of the Fantasyland sword sect. Moreover, he wasn't an ordinary member, but the only son of the sword sect's sect leader, the Fantasyland sword sect's young sect leader. This young sect leader had long planned to make a name for himself in the 8 cities sword conference, so that his path to taking over the Fantasyland sword sect would be smoother in the future. As a result, the young master arranged for 10,000 elite sword-bearers from his own sect to sign up for the sword conference at the same time as him. This way, apart from a few unlucky fellows, these 10,000 people were all allocated to the 10th region with the good people from Fantasy Village. Therefore, the first and second round of the battle became a game of everyone picking up firewood. After the subordinates of the Fantasyland's good guy killed their tiger-striped shark in the first round, they tried their best to get closer to their leader's position. This young sect leader quickly gathered all his forces together. Next, it was time for these 10,000 subordinates to show their loyalty in the second round. This was because the kill points were calculated from the last attack. In other words, even if you didn't attack before, as long as the last attack was yours, the kill points would be yours. Therefore, these elite subordinates sacrificed their own Yuan Ko. When they were killed until they only had 1 hit left, all of them would be handed over to the Fantasyland's good guy to finish them off. This Fantasyland's good guy only needed to control his ship to continuously harvest the last bit of Yuan Ko's HP. In terms of pure speed, he had already more than doubled Gohan's. Often, the entire orange or yellow sea area of 100 Yuan Kos were all taken up by this young sect leader. In this way, his kill points naturally rose rapidly. It was extremely normal for it to reach the shocking 6,000 kill points. However, it was a pity that the last round relied on the amount of damage dealt to calculate the kill value. This way, the young sect master couldn't harvest like he did in the second round. Only then did the growth of the kill value slow down. Otherwise, he could have rushed to more than 10,000. That was good too. Since he couldn't farm kill points in the third round, he would use the fastest speed to finish the battle. Didn't the system say that the first region to finish the battle would have extra rewards? The organized elite players were much more efficient than the casual players in clearing monsters. Under the battle of the remaining 2,000 or so elites of the Fantasyland, the 10th region was the first to complete the clearing of Yuan Kos, except for the Black Tortoise. Moreover, the 10th region was also the first region to use the 3-team ladder tactic to besiege the Black Tortoise. At this time, the Black Tortoise in the 10th region had lost about half of its HP under the siege of more than 1,000 players. It only had 53% left. Very good. If this goes on for another 20 minutes, the first region will be mine, said the good man of the Fantasyland while clenching his fist. Young sect leader, according to the information from the forum, now Area 64, where the military governor is located, has also entered the stage of being besieged by the Black Tortoise. Next to the good man of the Fantasyland, a coquettish female player, who looked like an assistant, reported to the good man of the Fantasyland. It was a pity that the two of them couldn't stand on the same vehicle. Otherwise, the good man of the Fantasyland would definitely pull this coquettish beauty into his arms, pinch her opie a few times, and feel the amazing elasticity. Trash, I didn't expect that with a strong person like the military governor. Area 64 is still such trash, said the good man of the Fantasyland resentfully. Originally, he planned to have a fierce battle with the military governor in Area 64, but he never thought that this Area 64 was so vulnerable. He almost emptied half of the Black Tortoise's HP, and the other party had just started to fight with the Black Tortoise. Was there any suspense about the result of this battle and the first region to finish the battle? What about the military governor? How is he now? What's his kill points now? Since he had already won in terms of speed, as long as he defeated the military governor in terms of kill points, then the glorious laurel of defeating the military governor would fall on his head. Then, the title of the first person in the sword level would also be his. This good person thought to himself happily, as if he had already forgotten how he had obtained these kill points. The military governor's kill points are still 2,759 as reported before. There's no change, replied the coquettish woman. What? There's still no change? The military governor has maintained this number for almost half an hour. What has he been doing for half an hour? Playing with water? Asked the good man of the Fantasyland excitedly. It seemed that Gohan's poor results were very difficult for him to accept. Young sect leader, according to the information, the military governor seems to have been upgrading the ship under his feet during this time. Now it is said that it has been upgraded to level 6, and it has become a small warship. You said that he is upgrading his ship? The young sect leader sneered and said very disdainfully, "It seems that I really overestimated this guy. I guess he knows that his personal strength is meaningless to the Black Tortoise, so he simply gave up and went to play bumper boats on the sea." What military governor? What first person in the sword level? He's just trash to me. I treated him as a strong opponent and prepared hundreds of plans. It seems that it's all meaningless now. He's not worthy to be my opponent. Young sect leader is right. That military governor is not worthy to be your opponent. You can send the military governor flying with a kick with your toe, said the coquettish woman like a crazy woman. She looked like she was very obsessed with the young sect leader of the Fantasyland. Ah, well said, but what do you mean by a toe? I think you want to eat your master's stinky feet. Well, when today's competition is over, come to my room. I will reward you with my stinky feet. You have to carefully lick them clean for me. Thank you, master. Thank you, master. The coquettish woman looked like she was drooling and could not wait. As for how much disgust and helplessness she felt in her heart, only she knew. Unfortunately, the good man of the Fantasyland's dream did not last long. When the Black Tortoise's health dropped to 50%, something strange happened. Chapter 600. When the Black Tortoise's HP fell below 2.5 million, which was 50% HP, the Black Tortoise that had been shrinking its limbs in the tortoise shell stretched out its body from the tortoise shell. The besieging players were stunned when they saw this scene. Someone immediately shouted with joy, "Everyone, hurry up and attack the Black Tortoise's limbs. This way there won't be any backlash." Hearing someone say so, all the players immediately ordered their sword maidens to attack the Black Tortoise's limbs, thinking that there wouldn't be any backlash. Even the other two echelons that were resting on the side were ready to attack. At this moment, the Black Tortoise's tortoise head suddenly opened its mouth. A huge suction force came from its mouth, and the seawater around it was sucked into the Black Tortoise's mouth. At the same time, the black tortoise's HP was restored at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a minute, the black tortoise's HP was restored to full. Then, it closed its mouth in satisfaction, retracted its limbs, and returned to the previous state where it couldn't fight back. The good people of Fantasy Village were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. "I've fought hard for half an hour, and it's all back to before overnight? How could this be? This black tortoise can actually restore my HP to full. How can I fight this? Won't I never be able to defeat this black tortoise in my life?" The good people of Fantasy Village felt a deep despair from the bottom of their hearts. This was an unsolvable boss, an opponent that could never be defeated. No. This is just a qualifier. The system can't possibly create an unsolvable boss. There must be other ways. Although the good people of Fantasy Village were a little funny, they were not stupid. They quickly recovered their calmness and knew that the black tortoise couldn't be unsolvable. There must be something that they had overlooked, and this was the black tortoise's weakness. Suddenly, the good people of Fantasy Village remembered the military governor's action just now. Could it be that the military governor also discovered something? Just as the good people of Fantasy Village were about to follow the example of the military governor and send people to upgrade the ship, suddenly, the coquettish assistant said excitedly, "Master, this black tortoise is not unsolvable. Our people just discovered that the black tortoise's HP limit has changed from 5 million to 4 million. It has reduced its HP limit by 1 million. Really?" The good people of Fantasy Village observed for a while. Sure enough, the upper limit of the black tortoise's health points had changed from 5 million to 4 million. However, the health points were still full, so it did not attract the attention of other players at first. "I see. I got it. The effect of Black Tortoise's skill should be to sacrifice 1 million or 20% of its maximum HP to restore all its HP. That's right. As long as we keep attacking, this Black Tortoise will die in our hands sooner or later." When the good people of Fantasy Village thought of this, they became excited again. "Tell everyone about this discovery immediately. Tell them not to be discouraged and continue the echelon attack. We are still first in all regions." Next, the good people of Fantasy Village told everyone about this matter, so that the morale of the subordinates, who had been depressed because of the Black Tortoise's recovery of blood, regained their fighting spirit. On the other hand, the good man of Fantasyland quietly left the commander's position. He controlled his ship and sailed toward the nearest ghost ship gathering place. The military governor's actions were still lingering in his heart. Originally, he had some disdain for the military governor, but now he suddenly felt that he was the most stupid guy. Important information: Black Tortoise's HP is full in an instant. A few minutes later, the news of the good people of Fantasy Village instantly blew up the entire forum. The players who paid attention to this matter were shocked by the officials' bad taste. Oh my God, they are deliberately not letting the players pass. But soon, the news that Boss Black Tortoise's maximum HP had lost 1 million also came out, letting the players know that the official did not make an unsolvable setting, but just made Black Tortoise's HP more difficult to consume. What is the official doing this for? It feels like it's meaningless. A player replied in the forum and said what everyone was thinking. He wrote like this: "I can't see why the system designed Black Tortoise like this. To test the players' cooperation? Except for the need for cooperation when changing echelons, I can't see any need for cooperation at all. To test the players' skills? What kind of skills do you need? Just keep your head down and attack. As long as you don't break your personal shield, that's enough. To test the player's personal shield thickness? I can't refute this. It's true that the thicker the shield, the higher the kill value. But if it's to test the thickness, then just sum up the player's personal shield strength together, and then sit in rows and divide the result. Why make a black tortoise that needs to be killed for a few hours to disgust us?" Even the military governor, the number 1 person in the sword level, was forced to play bumper boats by this boring Yuan Ko. He would rather not have the kill value than to play this boring game. So in general, the planner who designed this black tortoise is a retard, a complete retard, a hopeless retard. The player wrote angrily. I strongly agree with the above comment. This planner is a retard. The player's reply immediately resonated with many people. Another player wrote, and more importantly, it's meaningless for those players who are destined not to enter the top 16. After the initial interest, they will soon find that it's a very boring thing. Even if they work hard for a few hours, it's impossible for them to enter the top 16. When they enter the semifinals, they will give up the siege, or take the initiative to leave the preliminaries, or watch the joke again. In that case, the whole battle will drag on for a longer time. Maybe they will fight for a day and a night. The entire forum was full of discussions about Black Tortoise. These discussions were quickly passed from the forum to the ears of players in other areas. F***CK. It can recover its HP when it reaches 50%. The second leader, who was organizing people to besiege Black Tortoise in Area 64, was so angry that he wanted to curse when he got the news from his friend's communication. They were not like the 10th area, which had a large number of people, and all of them were elites. In Area 64, except for the military governor, they were all the weakest among the sword-level sword-bearers. They could at least take out 2.5 million HP in 30 minutes. But what about them? They couldn't even take out 6% in 10 minutes. At the thought of returning to the upper limit of 4 million HP when it reached 50%, the second leader wanted to quit on the spot and quit the competition. Even the second place wanted to quit the competition. Those players who were ranked in the hundreds and had no hope of getting into the top 16 simply collapsed when they learned that the Black Tortoise could recover its health. More than a dozen players withdrew from the siege on the spot. Most of them simply took the initiative to leave the preliminary map, and some stood aside to watch the players who chose to continue to attack. Giving up was contagious. Every minute that passed, there would be more or less players who couldn't stand this endless battle and gave up. The number of players besieging Area 64 was getting fewer and fewer, from the thousands at the beginning to only a little more than 600 now. Seeing this situation, the person in second place almost broke down. If it wasn't for the fact that after he quit, the person in 17th place would take the opportunity to substitute in and replace him, he would have given up long ago. This was really a kind of torture. Military governor. How long are we going to collect them? Even though they were Gohan's fangirls, the 4 female players couldn't take it anymore. They had been bumping boats for an hour and they were going crazy. What level are your boats at? Gohan thought for a moment and asked in the communication channel. I'm 1,000 experience points away from the small warship. Me too, about 1,000 experience points away from the small warship. The 4 female players said in unison. They were now all small warships, and there was still a certain distance from the small warship. I still have 400 experience points to the small warship. The only male player, Tachibana Jingzong, responded weakly. Sure enough, guys were more reliable. Although they said they were unwilling, their actions were ahead of all the girls. Gohan looked at the experience bar of his boat again. Transportation level, level 6. Small sail warship, upgrade requirement, 11347/15625. Because of the huge size of the sail warship, it could absorb many bamboo rafts into its hull at the same time. Therefore, the other 5 people only got about 3,000 experience points in an hour, but Gohan got more than 9,000 experience points. Wait a little longer. When you guys reach the small warship, it will be time for us to laugh at those idiots. Gohan looked at the Black Tortoise, whose health bar was approaching 65%, and said with a smile, I finally understand what this Black Tortoise is testing us about. Seeing that there were only about 300 people still fighting, the second person stood up and encouraged the morale. I've heard that our senior sword-bearer hid in the snow for 10 days and 10 nights in order to kill a Yuan Ko in reality. He didn't move at all, and finally killed that Yuan Ko when it was unprepared. It's the same now. This qualifier is a test of our patience and concentration. If we don't even have a little patience, how can we protect humans in reality and become a true sword-bearer? Comrades, we must hold on. We will reach 50% soon, and we will definitely win the final victory. Perseverance is victory. The words of the second-place player were impassioned, reasonable, and convincing. However, the words of the second-place player also revealed a piece of news, which was that the Black Tortoise's HP would soon reach 50%, which meant that the most desperate time was about to come. Chapter 601. District 10's Black Tortoise has recovered its HP for the second time. Its upper limit of HP is only 3 million. It's one step faster than all the other districts. It seems that District 10 will be the first place this time. The posts on the forum had almost confirmed that the first place was the good guy from Fantasyland. As for District 64, which was originally the focus of attention, no one had any hope for them anymore. It was said that there were less than 300 people still besieging the Black Tortoise. Whether they could successfully complete the beheading was also a problem. Finally starting to recover HP. Finally, the Black Tortoise's HP was forcibly reduced to 2.5 million. However, just like the news on the forum, this Black Tortoise opened its big mouth and absorbed the seawater into its body, restoring its HP to full. However, the upper limit of its HP became 398,4000. Strange, shouldn't it be 4 million? Why is it missing 16,000 HP? The second person in charge of the command was a little strange, but soon, he was not in the mood to pay attention to this. Because at this time, a system prompt suddenly reached the ears of every player. System message. All the Black Tortoises in all 64 districts have completed their first rebirth. The reward for the first place in the district is announced. The first district to complete the final beheading will have an additional 16 places in the semifinals. The last district or the district with the most HP will lose its 16 places in the semifinals. F***CK. Hearing this news, the person in second place directly collapsed on his boat and couldn't even stand up. His Black Tortoise had just been reborn and he heard this system message. It was obvious that the last place in all the districts was his District 64. It was obvious that the district that would lose all the places in the semifinals was also his district. The second person's thoughts were also the thoughts of all the remaining less than 300 players. The reason why they persisted until now was that they might be able to counterattack and obtain the 16 places in the semifinals of their district. But now, this idea was ruthlessly shattered. They had completely lost hope. More than 200 people directly chose to withdraw from the competition on the spot. With a flash of light, they disappeared from their ships, leaving only an empty specter ship to prove that their masters had existed. Ah! I didn't expect this to be the result after persisting for so long. The person in second place laughed out loud, then glanced at the military governor and the others who were still playing with the bumper boats. But someone is much more unlucky than me. He was the number 1 in the sword competition, but he can't even enter the semifinals. It's not a loss. With that thought in mind, the figure in second place also disappeared from the ship. Damn it, this was a sure defeat. There was nothing more to say. At the same time, after the announcement of the system prompt, the entire forum exploded again. Strange, why did they use again? Could it be that there were many explosions before? Well, these weren't the main point. The main point was that the forum was instantly filled with posts of sympathy for the military governor. On one hand, they lamented that the system really knew how to play, and on the other hand, they lamented the impermanence of the world. The number 1 swordsman, the military governor, was actually defeated in the preliminaries. This was something that countless players had never expected. According to the latest news from District 64, there were less than 50 people left in the entire district. District 63, which was the second last place, had more than 500 people. The number of people was 10 times that of District 64. There was no doubt that the last place would be District 64. As a member of District 64, the military governor would also completely lose the right to enter the semifinals. In the end, his first sword among 8 cities tournament would stop at the preliminaries. It had to be said that this was a big joke that the system played on the military governor. In the forum, a large number of fans of the military governor began to post and scold the system for being crazy. They wanted to go to the system to evaluate the military governor according to his real strength and get justice for the military governor. There was even a topic on the forum, "Bat get out of the gaming circle," which received millions of likes. But the problem was that the game itself was built on Bat. Without Bat, there would be no game world. This was as ridiculous as asking Taiwanese to get out of China. Since ancient times, Taiwanese had been China's sacred and inalienable territory. How could they be chased out? Of course, apart from these bored fangirls, there were still quite a few rational fans on the internet. They all expressed that 10 years was nothing to be afraid of and that they could wait. They enthusiastically celebrated the Admiral's achievement of winning the 21st 8-city sword duel. Unfortunately, they didn't think that in the 21st sword among 8 cities tournament 10 years later, how could the military governor still be at the sword among 8 cities tournament? No matter how they looked at it, he should at least be promoted to the spiritual sword level. Otherwise, the name of the military governor would not live up to its name. The news of the military governor's elimination from the semifinals had also reached the ears of the good guy in Fantasy Village. He, who was standing on the miniature sail warship, let out a long sigh of relief when he heard the news. However, he still said in annoyance, "It's a pity that I can't compete with the military governor on the same stage. If that's the case, wouldn't my reputation as the best in the sword among swords level be unworthy? It's such a pity." No, wait. Suddenly, the good guy in Fantasy Village thought of something. He looked at the miniature sail warship beneath his feet, and his expression instantly turned ugly. Perhaps it's not certain yet. Indeed, it was not certain yet. "Mr. Military Governor, did you hear that? We're done for. We're doomed to lose all our spots," Sima Qing said weakly. "Mr. Military Governor, I'm preparing to leave. Staying here is just a waste of time." "That's not necessarily true." Gohan's voice was full of power, which made Sima Qing feel a lot more excited. "Let me ask you, what level of warship are you standing on now?" "It's already a small warship," Sima Qing replied. Gohan then asked the other 4 girls. Their warships had all become small warships as well. Very good. Gu Han absorbed the last bamboo raft into his battleship, and the battleship instantly transformed, turning into a huge monster. Transportation level. Level 7. Medium ironclad battleship, upgrade requirement, 1/78125. Medium ironclad battleship, level 5. Cannot be damaged. Cannot be sunk. Surface combat vehicle. Sailing speed, 14 knot. Size, 100 by 15 by 6. Equipment, 2 150 mm dual main cannons. Damage, fixed damage, 4,000 points/door. How about we make a bet? Gohan's voice carried a hint of excitement. I bet that our region will take first place in the preliminaries. Around the Black Tortoise, there were a few dozen players standing on their bamboo raft. They looked at the lazy Black Tortoise with pained and helpless expressions. Although there were only 32 people left, and their chances of advancing to the next round had been raised to 50%, they were destined to miss out on the opportunity after 16 spots were taken away. They could only look at the black tortoise reluctantly, unwilling to leave. It was as though they could still advance to the semifinals if they stayed. Damn it! A player hammered hard on his ship. Every punch represented his unwillingness to give up. Guys, look! What's that? Suddenly, he heard a player say excitedly. The player immediately turned around and saw a scene that he would never forget in his life. A huge steel warship that wasn't much smaller than the black tortoise had appeared in front of him. The player also knew something about things before the Great Destruction. He knew that this was the supreme divine weapon that humans used to control the sea before the Great Destruction, the battleship. How could there be a battleship here? The player rubbed his eyes in disbelief. It's the military governor. Just now, the military governor has been absorbing ships to upgrade his own ship. He must have upgraded his ship to a battleship. A player explained excitedly. Look, there are 5 smaller warships behind. The player found that there were another 5 smaller warships following the huge battleship. The 6 warships actually formed an awe-inspiring Ling's warship, slowly moving in front of the black tortoise. With the arrival of these battleships, the black tortoise, who had been hiding in the tortoise shell and ignoring all attacks, instantly stretched out its limbs from the tortoise shell. Its eyes were no longer lazy, but full of deep fear. The black tortoise, which had not moved a bit, actually began to paddle vigorously, trying to escape from the buoy. Unfortunately, the black tortoise seemed to have forgotten that it was still a tortoise. A tortoise had the advantage of being a tortoise. It had a thick defense, so thick that even Gohan couldn't do anything about it. However, it also had its disadvantages. That was, its speed was so slow that anyone could ignore it. Boom! The 6 warships seemed to have agreed at the same time. They made a deafening noise at the same time, especially the largest battleship. Its 2 dual-mounted main cannons could be aimed in one direction at the same time, firing 4 terrifyingly powerful 150mm shells at the same time. At this moment, all the players were attracted by the heroic figure of the giant battleship cannons. They became the new group of giant battleship cannons after the Great Destruction. Chapter 602. What was the feeling of a tsunami? What was the feeling of heaven and earth changing color? The players in Area 64 were the ones who felt it the most. At this time, the remaining 32 players in Area 64 were deeply attracted by the invincibility of the giant ships and cannons. The cannons fired in unison. 6 warships, a total of 14 artillery shells, hit the body of the black tortoise close at hand, almost blowing up the black tortoise's shell. -1000. -1000. A total of 10-1000 numbers emerged from the black tortoise's body. This was the result caused by the 4 small sail warship. In addition, there were 4 terrifying -4000 numbers exploding on the black tortoise's body. This was naturally the result caused by the military governor's giant ship. The 5 small warships caused a total of 10,000 damage. The total damage was not as high as the 16,000 damage caused by Gohan alone. Adding the 2 together, that was 26,000 damage. Divided by 4 million, that was a full 0.6% damage. F***CK. If that was the case, wouldn't it only take 170 volleys for this black tortoise to die on the spot? Oh, that's not right. This black tortoise could regenerate its HP. Calculating carefully, it needed 212 shots to kill this black tortoise. If a round of shots was fired every 20 seconds, it would only take 70 minutes to kill this black tortoise. This was much faster than any other region. Even in the 10th area, it took more than an hour to deplete the black tortoise's 4.5 million HP. Now the 10th area still needed to destroy about 3.5 million HP of the black tortoise. It seemed that it would be impossible to catch up with the 10th area. But it was more than enough to catch up with the other areas. At least the 64th area would not be the last place anymore. Didn't that mean that he still had a chance to participate in the semifinals? Moreover, the probability was very high. It was a full 50% chance. Rumble. 20 seconds later, there was another round of gunfire. The Black Tortoise lost another 26,000 HP. With the 2 rounds added together, the Black Tortoise had lost 1.2% of its HP. Seeing this, the player's morale was boosted. His dispirited body stood up again. The Sword Lady, who had recovered a long time ago, jumped onto the back of the Black Tortoise again and started to attack. Although the chance of entering the semifinals had increased to 50%, there were still 16 people competing with him for this last chance. If he still couldn't enter the semifinals when there were 32 people left, wouldn't it be shameful? However, when his Sword Lady jumped onto the back of the Black Tortoise, the player was surprised to find that the HP bar of the Black Tortoise seemed to be full. The previous 2 rounds should have taken away 1.6% of the Black Tortoise's HP bar. No matter how he looked at it, the Black Tortoise's HP bar should have decreased by 1 bar. Why was it still full without any change? Could it be that the damage just now was fake? Was it an illusion? Am I lying to myself? The player rubbed his eyes in disbelief. If that was really the case, he would jump into the sea and never play this game again. F***ck. His heart wouldn't be able to take such a drastic rise and fall. He rubbed his eyes until they were swollen. Then he was surprised to find that it was not that the Black Tortoise's HP bar did not decrease, but that the upper limit of the Black Tortoise's HP had decreased. The upper limit of its HP had changed from 398,4000 to 393,2000. The upper limit of its HP had been reduced by 52,000 points. This number was exactly the same as the damage caused by the 2 rounds of gunfire just now. I see. The damage caused by this cannon is not the damage to the HP, but the damage directly to the upper limit of the HP. In this way, the Black Tortoise's great healing method is completely ineffective. The player began to get excited. Vaguely, he even had a bold guess in his heart. Sir Military Governor, I have never been convinced by anyone in my life, but I am convinced by you. The player suddenly knelt down in the direction of the Military Governor's huge ship and kowtowed deeply. At this moment, the Military Governor had another fangirl, a completely brainless fangirl. Gohan, who was standing on the huge ship, didn't know that someone was kowtowing to him below. He was calmly ordering his temporary subordinates, "Keep your posture, keep your distance, and shoot this Black Tortoise at the same time. Try to end the battle within 50 minutes. Hooray! Hooray!" The players in the 10th zone cheered because at this time, the Black Tortoise's HP was less than 300,000. The entire Black Tortoise had only been reborn 3 times. For the 4th time, when its HP was half, which was 2 million HP and its upper limit was 1 million HP, the Black Tortoise finally stopped absorbing the seawater to recover its HP. It finally began to fear. It seemed to sense that it was about to die, so it began to run wildly, trying to escape from the player's pursuit. Although these attempts were futile, it also made the pursuit a little troublesome. Otherwise, the Black Tortoise might have less than 100,000 HP now. At this time, the good guy in the fantasy who had not been in the command post finally returned to the battlefield. At this time, he was standing on a small sail warship. "Fire! Fire for me!" After approaching the Black Tortoise, the good guy in the fantasy left and let his warship fire. 2 cannonballs with 1,000 points of fixed damage shot out and hit the Black Tortoise's shell, causing 2,000 points of fixed damage. At the same time, the good guy in the fantasy also discovered that the upper limit of the Black Tortoise's HP had changed from 2 million to 1,998,010. At this moment, he finally figured out the strange behavior of the Military Governor and what the Military Governor was up to. "Come here, let me ask you, what's the situation in the 64th zone now?" The good guy in the fantasy, who was somewhat anxious, called his coquettish assistant over and asked directly, "News? What news do I need? Isn't the military governor destined to be eliminated?" The assistant did not understand what had happened and said stupidly, "You useless thing, the military governor is likely to have caught up with our progress. You go and check it for me now. Otherwise, believe it or not, I'll stuff your mouth full of sh*t today and make you a veritable meat toilet." The coquettish assistant was frightened by the term meat toilet. She immediately began to contact her observer on the forum. After dozens of seconds, the assistant said with an innocent face, "Master, the people on the forum said that because there are only about 30 people left in the entire 64th zone, it seems that the remaining people did not share the situation of 64th zone through their own communication device or did not post it on the forum. In the past 50 minutes, there has been no news from 64th zone." Damn it! The good guy in the fantasy closed his eyes for a while, then suddenly opened his eyes and ordered, "We can't drag it any longer. The longer we delay, the more trouble there will be. Immediately let the other 2 echelons that are resting enter the battle, and use the fastest speed to solve the remaining 300,000 HP. But master, there are still 2 echelons of people who are recovering their personal shields. If they go up now, I'm afraid their personal shields will be broken." The assistant said weakly, "Who cares what will happen to their personal shields? It's just a game and they won't die. What's there to be afraid of? Let them go up immediately, go up." The good guy in the fantasy land had not finished his words. Suddenly, there was a system prompt in his ear. System message. Congratulations to the players of the 64th zone for defeating the Black Tortoise first and completing the qualifier. The players of the 64th zone will get an additional 16 places in the semi-finals as a reward. Let us congratulate the players of the 64th zone. Sincerely congratulate them on their achievements. F***ck. Thousands of words finally turned into the word F***ck. The young master of the fantasy land looked at his coquettish assistant with horror and anger. It seemed that tonight, this woman could not escape the fate of being a meat toilet. It was really sad. The heart of the good guy in the fantasy land was exploding, and the entire forum was even more exploding. The moment the system message came out, the entire forum was instantly flooded with posts with the same theme. It was not that the author's fingers spasmed and pressed the question mark button a few times, but these players used the title and content of the last question mark to constantly refresh the forum's latest posts. This represented the same question in all the players' hearts. Why did the military governor still win in the end? What the hell happened here? All the spectators in the forum were deeply shrouded in their hearts by this question. Their hearts were full of curiosity as if they were being scratched by hundreds of kittens. Unfortunately, no one could answer their questions. Long live the military governor! The 124th fan group of the military governor has sent a congratulatory message. Long live the military governor! The military governor has sent a congratulatory message from the London City fan group. After a series of question marks, the forum was quickly occupied by all kinds of congratulatory messages from the military governor's fans, die-hard fans, and fangirls. At this moment, all the fans of the military governor collectively reached a climax. They once again deeply realized that their idol was powerful. He was invincible. He was invincible. No matter how desperate the situation was, in the hands of the military governor, there was only one result: victory, and it was an unparalleled and perfect victory. A few minutes later, the news of the successful killing of the Black Tortoise in the 10th region spread to the forum. It was a pity that this matter, which should have triggered a heated discussion in the forum and made the players talk about the good guy in the fantasy land enthusiastically, was quietly drowned in the tide-like post. Even if the fantasy land's tens of thousands of internet water army wanted to make their presence known, it was useless. It was just tens of thousands of internet water army. How could it be compared to the power of the military governor's 10 million fangirls? Finally, 5 minutes later, a video recorded by the players was uploaded to the forum. The 6 warships that changed the color of the sky and earth deeply shocked everyone. At this moment, the players understood why the military governor would quietly upgrade his warship. It turned out that all the preparations were made here. The players couldn't help but think that the military governor actually began to collect warships to upgrade in the second round. Could it be that the military governor had already predicted the system's trick in the second round? No matter what the players thought, the future generations only knew that after today, the military governor's 2,000 fan group increased by more than 1,000 overnight. The military governor once again proved his strength to everyone. As long as the military governor was there, victory belonged to the military governor. Chapter 603. Gu Xianyuan, who had been lying on the bed like a zombie, suddenly moved her head and took off the helmet on her head. After going through a qualifier that lasted a few hours, even Gohan felt extremely tired. "You're awake, hurry up and eat." Coincidentally, at this time, Lu Shihua brought a bowl of porridge to Gu Xuanyuan's side and began to feed Gu Xianyuan mouthful by mouthful. Compared to the time when she had just woken up, Gu Xuanyuan's body had recovered a lot. Although she still could not control her body, her upper body's sense of touch had completely recovered. This meant that Gu Xianyuan could now feel everything that happened to her upper body, but her lower body still had no feeling. Ever since Lu Yin began to repair the electrical appliances, the entire Lu family situation had improved a lot. From the initial pure nutrient solution to the current nutrient solution porridge, the Lu family could now eat a more normal diet. After a big bowl of porridge, Gu Xianyuan felt that her strength had recovered a lot. At this time, she heard Lu Shihua ask curiously, "Sister Xianyuan, is this game really that fun? You stay in there every day, don't you feel bored?" "I'll feel bored if I don't enter the game." Gu Xianyuan obviously would not say that. She nodded and her goddess-like voice flowed out, "The game is a very interesting world. On a certain level, it's far more interesting than the real world. Why are you suddenly asking me this today? Do you want to enter the game to experience it?" "I want to experience it, but I don't have the time." Lu Shihua's face darkened. "Although the situation at home is a little better now, Little Een told me that he walked around the junkyard yesterday and found that there were not many electrical appliances that could be repaired. At most, in another 10 or so days, I'm afraid that his electrical appliance repair business will be cut off." "Oh well, the situation at the core area has improved a lot recently. Everyone has settled down, the troop can also reopen, and I can also earn some income." Lu Shihua's face was full of worry. Although she said it was nothing, she was actually very worried about it. "Shihua, what do you do? I've never heard you talk about it these few days. Are you some kind of actor or something?" Gu Xianyuan asked curiously. This Lu Shihua had always said that he was performing, but he had never said what he was performing. "I'm just playing a small role in an acrobatic troupe." "I'm not really an actor," Qin Haodong said with a smile. Lu Shihua's expression became even more gloomy, and he deliberately avoided Gohan's question, refusing to say what he did. Seeing that Lu Shihua did not say anything, Gu Xianyuan did not ask any further, so she changed the topic. "Oh right, Shihua, how old are you today? Have you turned 18? This. Lu Shihua hesitated for a moment before replying, "I'll be 18 today." "Isn't today your birthday?" Gu Xianyuan was taken aback. No wonder Lu Shihua would ask her about the game. Turned out that today was her 18th birthday. Today, she also had the right to enter the game. Thinking that she only had a place to stay because of Lu Shihua's help, and it happened to be Lu Shihua's birthday, Gu Xianyuan decided to help Lu Shihua no matter what. At the very least, she wanted to free the siblings from this difficult situation. Gu Xianyuan thought for a moment, then said to Lu Yin, who had been silent all this time, "Lu Yin, come here." In the past, as soon as Gu Xianyuan called out to him, Lu Yin would run over eagerly. But this time, Gu Xianyuan called out to him 5 or 6 times before this brat, Lu Yin, quietly came to Gu Xuanyuan's side. His tone was a little impatient. "Big beautiful sister, why are you looking for me? I'm busy. If you have something to say, hurry up and say it." "Little Yin, how can you speak to Sister Xianyuan like that?" Hearing Lu Yin's tone, Lu Shihua's face suddenly turned black. When Lu Yin saw this scene, all the hairs on his body stood up. He quickly hugged his sister and said coquettishly, "Sister, don't blame me, I was blinded by lard. Just now, I was watching the video of the Admiral's preliminaries. It was too awesome and too good to watch. Watching it made my entire body's blood boil. Especially at the end, when the Admiral made a comeback from the hopeless situation of certain defeat, I almost shouted out. I was a little excited watching it, a little excited, so I spoke without thinking." "What the hell?" Lu Shihua knocked Lu Yin's head hard. "Sister Xianyuan has something to ask you. You answer Sister Xuanyuan's question honestly. Do you hear me?" "Yes. Yes. Yes." Lu Yin kept nodding, smiling mischievously, looking like a traitor translator in a pre-apocalyptic anti-Japanese drama. "Big beautiful sister, if you have any instructions, I will do it for you. Let me ask you, little Yin, the other game helmet you picked up the day before yesterday, have you fixed it?" Gu Xianyuan asked helplessly. "Yes. Yes." Lu Yin quickly took out a helmet from the box, handed it to Gu Xianyuan, and asked, "Beautiful sister, what do you want this helmet for? Don't tell me your helmet is broken? If it's broken, I'll fix it for you, but this helmet has already been reserved by Brother Lu next door, the money has already been paid, and they'll be taking it away tomorrow." Lu Yin's newly repaired helmet looked obviously better than the one Gu Xianyuan was using. It should have been thrown away after a few years of use. Lu Yin thought that Gu Xianyuan had taken a fancy to this new helmet and wanted to change it for him. "I don't want your helmet, I just want to borrow it." Gu Xianyuan took the helmet and passed it to Lu Shihua. "Shihua, since you're already an adult, why don't you enter the game today and experience this new world?" "No. No. No." Lu Shihua waved his hand. "I'm not entering the game, it's not suitable for me. I still have a lot of things to do. How can I afford the luxury of playing these games? I'm not going in." "Take it, if I tell you to go in, then go in." Gu Xuanyuan's voice suddenly became dignified and overbearing. Lu Shihua was momentarily stunned by Gu Xianyuan. He actually couldn't even utter a single word of rebuttal. "Let's play for tonight, we'll talk about tomorrow's matters tomorrow, understand?" Oh. What else could Lu Shihua say? Her heart was originally full of curiosity about the game. Otherwise she wouldn't have taken the initiative to ask Gu Xianyuan about the game. Under Gu Xuanyuan's forceful order, she reluctantly agreed. "Very good." Gu Xianyuan nodded her head. Suddenly, she felt that her lower body was a little bit cold. This was the first time she had felt something towards her lower body since she woke up. This made Gu Xianyuan very excited. This meant that her lower body was also gradually recovering. The day when she would once again return to Gu Han should not be far away. "I'm so envious of sister. You're already 18 years old, you can enter the game now." Seeing this, Lu Yin was extremely jealous. His passion for the game was much higher than his sister's. It was a pity that this child was only 14 years old. There were still 4 more years before she could enter the game, unlike Lu Shihua, who was already an adult. "Forget it, I'll go watch the video. Even if I watch the video 10 more times, it still won't be enough." Lu Yin, who was envious, jealous, and hateful in his heart, could only rely on the video to appease his heart's desire for the game. But when Lu Yin was about to leave, a somewhat stuffy and strange fragrance entered his nostrils. He couldn't help but sniff a few more times. "What a fragrant smell! It's like the smell of orchids. It's really too fragrant." Lu Yin blew his nose, smelling everywhere. "Sister, do you smell this fragrance?" The fragrance of orchids. Lu Shihua also sniffed. Indeed, there was a faint orchid fragrance around him, and as time passed, this orchid fragrance became thicker and thicker. In the end, it was as if a perfume bottle had spilled beside him. Sister, this is the smell coming from the beautiful sister. Lu Yin quickly found the source of the fragrance. Because the smell around Gu Xuanyuan's body was especially strong, anyone with a normal nose would be able to smell this smell. At this time, Gu Xuanyuan was also confused. She had no idea what was going on. She had also smelled the fragrance, but in her perception, it was not the fragrance of orchids, but the scent of sandalwood that was similar to orchids. She had smelled this scent when she was immersed in the true martial hall of the Wudong Peak dungeon. Strange, why would such a scent suddenly appear on her body? Suddenly, Gohan remembered the cold feeling he felt in his lower body just now. Now, not only did this cold feeling not disappear, but it became even cooler. Could it be? Gu Xuanyuan's mind came up with a bad idea. Found it. The source of the fragrance is here. Unfortunately, Gu Xuanyuan's reaction was still a step slower than Lu Yin. He suddenly pointed at the blanket under Gu Xuanyuan's lower body and said, "Sister, look, what's going on? Why is Sister Xuanyuan's blanket completely soaked?" After saying that, Lu Yin even leaned on his nose and sniffed. An intoxicated expression immediately appeared on his face. "Sister, it can't be wrong, the fragrance is the smell of this water. Sister Xuanyuan, did the perfume on your body get spilled? This smell is so fragrant, I'll sleep next to you tonight. Smell this smell while I sleep, okay?" Compared to Lu Yin's idiocy, Lu Shihua quickly realized that something was wrong. More than half of the blanket was completely soaked. Which brand of perfume could be so generous to give you so much water? Looking at this scene, it was similar to Lu Yin's habit of smelling bad when he was young. "Sister Xuanyuan, you can't be." Lu Shihua did not finish his words. He covered his mouth, pulled Lu Yin's ear, pulled his nose away from the soaked bedsheet, and directly pulled him to wash his face. F***ck. Gu Xuanyuan's beautiful face was still calm, but the nerves under her skin were constantly twitching, showing Gu Xuanyuan's incomparably complicated and F***ket up heart. Chapter 604. Under Gu Xuanyuan's forceful urging, Lu Yin and Lu Shihua had no choice but to leave their home. They waited outside for about 20 minutes before they were allowed to return. At this time, Gohan's blanket had been changed, and his wet clothes had been changed into a dress. This was all thanks to Juzi. Otherwise, with Gu Xuanyuan's body, she wouldn't have been able to do these things. If not for the fact that Juzi was her sword lady, Gu Xuanyuan would never have allowed anyone else to touch her body, especially when she was in her female form. Gu Xuanyuan couldn't accept it. She would rather be drenched than let anyone see her lower body. However, Juzi was her sword maiden, so it was a different story. After all, the sword maiden was born from her stomach, so she could barely be considered a piece of her flesh. However, what made Gu Xuanyuan feel helpless was that the cold male clothing that she was originally wearing now had no choice but to change into a complete set of female clothing. This was because Gohan's dimensional pocket couldn't be opened, and there was only Lu Shihua's female clothing in the house. Although there was Lu Yin's male clothing, it was a child's clothing, and Gu Xuanyuan couldn't wear it at all. As for why such a shameful bedwetting incident happened, this was a very normal thing. Regardless of whether it was a man or a woman, they all needed to pee. Gohan had already been awake for 5 days, and it was already a very impressive thing that he only peed for the first time on the 5th day. Moreover, because Gohan had lost control of his lower body, it was inevitable that he would unconsciously wet the bed. When the water was full, it would overflow by itself. After all, Gohan had been drinking nutrient solutions for the past few days. As for the problem with the fragrance, Gohan felt that it should be because of the 6 Revolutions Immortal Pill. The medicinal power of the 6 Revolutions Immortal Pill filled his body and hid in various organs. urine originally gathered from various parts of the body, so it was not surprising that it carried a certain amount of medicinal power and fragrance of the 6 Revolutions immortal pill. Moreover, this fragrance was similar to the smell in the true martial hall, so it should be from the same source, which was the sect master of Ren school, Taishang Laojun. Actually, it was still okay to wet the bed. What made Gu Xianyuan feel a little creeped out? What if it was during constipation? Was he also in a state of incontinence? At the thought of this, Guhan wished that his body could recover immediately and escape from this life-threatening state. At the same time, Guhan was even more determined to pull Lucihua into the game. Blanket. Isn't this my blanket? As soon as Lu Yin returned home, he found that his beloved quilt was under Gu Xuanyuan's butt. He immediately wailed. The Lu family was poor, and they only had 3 blankets. One for Lu Yin, one for Lu Shihua, and the last one was used as a backup. It was already under Gu Xuanyuan's body, and it was giving off an endless fragrance. Gu Xianyuan wouldn't let himself be wronged, so he ordered Juzi to take out Lu Yin's blanket and put it on himself. Now, Gu Xianyuan had a blanket, but Lu Yin was in trouble. What are you doing? Isn't it just a blanket? You can sleep with me tonight. Just wait until I wash and dry the quilt tomorrow. You can just make do with it for one night, Lu Shihua said as she knocked on Lu Yin's head. All right, I promise that after tomorrow, everything will be fine. Gu Xianyuan felt a little guilty for snatching Lu Yin's blanket. She was an adult, the master of Yuzhang City's sword tower, and one of the 2 most powerful people in Yuzhang City. Yet, she actually wanted to snatch a poor child's blanket. It was really embarrassing. Shihua, we've wasted a lot of time just now. Hurry up and enter the game. After you finish the Yu King Go Jian Sword Instance Dungeon, I'll get someone to bring you. Gu Xianyuan said. Oh! Lu Shihua picked up the helmet excitedly. Just as he was about to put it on, he heard Gu Xianyuan say, "Oh right, don't be in a hurry to enter the game. Lu Yin, hurry up and log into the forum. Find the guide for the Yu King Go Jian Sword Instance Dungeon that Military Governor 250 posted and show it to your sister. Let her get as high a rating as possible." Gu Xianyuan said. Since she had Lu Shihua's help, she wanted to give Lu Shihua the best gaming experience and help her get as good a score as possible in the Instance Dungeon. Currently, the best guide for the Yu King Go Jian Sword Instance Dungeon was naturally her own guide. Unexpectedly, Lu Yin looked at Gu Xianyuan awkwardly. Beautiful sister, don't you know? Military Governor's Guide costs $5 to read. I don't have a single cent in my account. I haven't even read it myself. Why don't you ask my sister to transfer me $5? I'll pay the reading fee. What? What kind of stupid guide costs $5? I don't want to read it. I'm not even going to look at it. Lu Shihua refused without thinking when he heard that it would cost $5. What a joke. $5 was enough for her family to eat for a whole day. Why would she waste it on reading a guide? Well, this was probably the only time Gu Xianyuan hated herself for setting a fee to read her post. Gu Xianyuan had no choice but to pull Lu Shihua to her side. She taught Lu Shihua the key points of the Instance Dungeon step by step. With Military Governor personally explaining it, it was naturally very effective. Lu Shihua listened and nodded. She quickly expressed that she understood everything. She couldn't wait to enter the game. In the game, Guhan was drinking tea in Yuzhang City. Suddenly, a system confirmation sound came from Guhan's personal communicator. This meant that Guhan's friend request had been confirmed. Your military governor? Gu Xuanyuan's friend? Lu Shihua's voice came from the communicator. Lu Shihua's in-game name was Lu Family Shihua. It was a proper name that seemed to be very family-oriented. This was also the name that Lu Shihua told Guhan in advance before entering the game. Otherwise, Guhan wouldn't have been able to send this friend request. As for why Lu Shihua didn't send a friend request to the military governor, the reason was simple. It was because the military governor had once again blocked the friend request. That's right. I'm Gu Xuanyuan's good friend. You're the Lu family sister who takes care of Xianyuan in real life, right? Xianyuan asked me to thank you properly. At the same time, I'll help you familiarize yourself with the things in the game. You can find me at Yuzhong City's Starbucks tea house. It's easy to find. It's on the first floor of the tallest building in Yuzhong City. Gu Han casually told Lu Shihua about Gu Xuanyuan's identity. Lu Shihua didn't suspect anything and quickly appeared in front of Starbucks. Gu Han recognized Lu Shihua at a glance. She looked exactly the same as in real life. She was using her original appearance in the game. It was no wonder that Gu Han couldn't recognize her. Gu Han waved his hand. Lu Shihua sat next to Gu Han. How did you know that I'm Lu Shihua? As soon as Lu Shihua sat down, she directly asked Gu Han, a little confused. You haven't seen me before, and I didn't show my name. Why did you greet me as soon as I appeared? It's as if you've seen me before. Lu Shihua's words made Gu Han very surprised. Lu Shihua was right. He really shouldn't have known Lu Shihua. Him directly waving his hand was a big flaw. What's wrong with me? If it were me in the past, I wouldn't have made such a childish mistake. Oh, Xianyuan described your appearance to me, so I recognized you at a glance. Gu Han's expression didn't change as he perfunctorily brushed off the flaw just now. Is my appearance very unique? You can actually recognize me from the description, Lu Shihua complained. However, she didn't think too much about it. She then asked, okay, why didn't Xianyuan come herself? Why did she ask you to receive me? Xianyuan is in a very important instance dungeon with her team. She can't leave at all, so she can only ask me to help you. If you have any questions about this game, you can ask me. I'll tell you everything, Gu Han said with a smile. This Lu Shihua would probably never see Lu Xianyuan in the game for the rest of her life. Military Governor. Your name sounds so familiar. I seem to have heard it somewhere. Lu Shihua began to struggle with Gu Han's name again. Of course, she had heard of the name Military Governor. Just now, Lu Yin had mentioned that the strategy guide was written by the military governor. However, Lu Shihua had never cared about these words. For a moment, she couldn't remember where she had heard the name of the military governor. Is that so? I have a bit of fame in the game. You'll know me soon enough, Gu Han said ambiguously. Then, he began to explain the general knowledge of the instance dungeons in the game to Lu Shihua, as well as the things that Lu Shihua needed to do later. After about half an hour, Gu Han finally told Lu Shihua all the general knowledge that Lu Shihua needed to know. It couldn't be helped. Lu Shihua wasn't like a normal person. Before entering the game, she already knew everything about the game. Lu Shihua, on the other hand, had never planned to enter the game. Naturally, she knew nothing about the game. After explaining a lot of general knowledge, Gu Han took a big sip of tea to moisten his throat. Next, you'll do as I say. Go to the Wudong Peak Instance Dungeon to train and master the basic fighting style of a swordsman. Oh yeah, in the Yuwang Gojian Sword Instance Dungeon, which basic sword mistress did you choose? You mean the White Iron Sword, the Qingfeng Sword, and the 100 Refined Sword? Those 3 basic sword mistresses? Lu Shihua shook her head. None of them. I didn't get those 3 sword mistresses. None of them. The teacup in Gu Han's hand trembled and the tea inside spilled out. Then, which sword did you get? Don't tell me you got the Yuwang Gojian sword. Isn't that Kanzu's sword mistress? How did I get it? Lu Shihua took out a silver-white sword mistress with a sword hilt that looked like a pair of wings and placed it on the table. It's this sword. I got it from that settlement center. This is the 2-winged angel sword. Gu Han recognized the origin of the sword at a glance. The tea in his hand spilled onto the table. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.